Yo, what is going on, Papa Fam? Welcome back to episode 8 of the Let's Vibe Code With Me the Right Way series. We're going to go ahead and dive into this one straight away. We're building a Twitter or X clone. Right now I can see myself in a couple of places, it's jarring me out. But we're going to go ahead and dive straight into this one. It's going to be one of our biggest builds on the channel with AI. So in these builds, if you're new to the series, we effectively go ahead and build with zero plan. So effectively, I'm going to start from scratch, go ahead and show you my entire movements and how I'm going to go ahead and design this build, go ahead and think it out, and then we're going to build it all from scratch. I'm going to show you how you can do the exact same thing with your AI setup. So go ahead and dive into me. In 5 seconds, we're going to go ahead and dive into this one. We're starting with a dribble design. And thank you to Clerk for going ahead and sponsoring this video. Go ahead and check out the build in 3, 2, 1. Check this out, guys. Okay, so here we have the design. There we go. Okay, the colors are different now. Okay, that's cool. All right, so here we have the design. So in this case, this is what we're going to base our entire design off. And I want to go ahead and break these builds down in a slightly different way now. So typically we kind of just jump into it, start breaking it down, but I want to go ahead and make sure that it's interactive. So if you guys have any suggestions of features that you want to build, you can go ahead and comment it down below, and we're going to literally build it live on stream. So you guys want to change a feature, add a feature, we want to add grok in, for example, we can go ahead and do that. And of course, when we're live, these are the ultimate opportunities to go ahead and ask me questions because you're going to get the most value from it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and break this entire build down into what we want to go ahead and get done. That was pretty cool. This is one of the dribble designers. Shout out to this guy, George Versagen from NKD Studio for this design, because we're going to be basing our entire app off it. So shout out to that guy, it's pretty awesome. And also let me know where you're watching from right now. So drop it down below in the comments. And if you're watching a replay, just jump ahead to the timestamp that you'd be watching from, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into things right now. Let me go ahead and show you. We're going to be doing a couple of interesting things in today's one. So we're going to go ahead and actually add in a paid gateway system. So we got Sana Code. Hey, what's up, dude? Good to see you here. All right, we're going to actually add in paid gateway. So basically, we're going to go ahead and have premium features. So that could be anything really. And again, you guys can tell me what you want and we can go ahead and do it. There we go. The chat's popping off now. All right. So it got me worried for a sec. I thought the stream wasn't going through. But basically, you want to go ahead and let me know in the comments what you guys want to see. So we're going to add in a couple of things. One, we're going to limit the number of characters that you can have based on a free plan versus a pro plan. That's a simple example. Also, number 2, obviously, we're not going to call it grok, but we're going to have an AI that you can go ahead and when you're a pro member and you go ahead and comment something like we can call it something like block, then it's going to go ahead and trigger the AI response if you're a pro member. We're going to have all of the features such as, liking, comments, threads, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. Now, to power this all, we're going to have a pretty awesome tech stack. We've got Clerk powering the payments and authentication. So this is going to go ahead and be, everything that we need. What's up, Tatiana? I see you. Okay. So in this case, we've got all of the payments going on over here. We've got the authentication side handled, and Clerk have made everything super easy. In fact, we're going to cover the Clerk CLI today. So I don't know if you guys have used this yet, but it was actually relatively new. This is pretty awesome because if you haven't already dove into CLI tools, now you should definitely be getting good with them. Reason being, if you can do something from a CLI, your AI can now do it from a CLI effectively. So by allowing us to go ahead and, setting up our Clerk environment with the CLI, we can now tap into our AI agent and he can go ahead and set everything up for us. So we can go ahead and do things like our environment variables, our provisioning of different environments, and soon they're going to even have the entire deploy step. So pretty damn cool, okay? When we go ahead and set that up, all I ask is you simply use the link in the description. Haresh knows what I'm talking about. He goes, Clerk CLI is literally the best. So it's going to be pretty awesome to go ahead and check it out in this build, right? Now, we're also going to be using Convex for the backend because we don't want to think about the backend too much. We want it to be effectively real-time, fast, able to synchronize things very, very quickly. So Convex is AI first. We're going to be putting that as the backend. And then I'm going to go ahead and draft out a few things for the design concept of things, right? Now, in terms of the actual build today, we're going to be flying through a ton of stuff. So I recommend if you do get stuck and you really want to dive in and you're wondering how the heck is he flying through this stuff so easily, then all I'd recommend is you do is go ahead and join our new community down below. We have a wait list at the moment, so you can feel free to go ahead and pop your name and email, and then you can go ahead and be a part of the first cohort to get access to our new community, okay? So go ahead and do that. We actually have thousands of people actually signed up, which is pretty nuts. So the second that releases, you can be sure that cohort's going to fill up. So go grab a seat and then we'll see you guys inside. So let's go ahead and break down the entire tech stack for today. What I want to do is I want to put the design on one side And then let's go ahead and show you the breakdown on the other. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this over this side, and then we have this on this side. Now, lots of you ask what I use when I draw stuff. It's called Screen Brush is what we use. Pretty awesome tool. I recommend it, especially if you're trying to show something to your team. In this case, we're going to go ahead and just draft out our tech stack. So a couple of things we're going to base. And now I know what you're going to say. Sonny, you can just write to AI and it's going to build the entire thing for you every single time. So you could do that, but good luck getting a great developed response out of it. It's going to build some fluff, and we like to call that AI slop. So I'm going to teach you how to avoid that in this series. The first thing we want to do is actually, oh no, why is it doing that? Every time I press change in camera, it changes my thing around. Give me one sec, guys. Okay, so that's a bit annoying. You know what? I think we're going to have to do the OG. If someone can call it out before I do it, then you're going to be bang on. But we're going to use YoFlow, the black screen editor instead, because whenever I use the easel, it tends to grab my cursor. There we go. We should be able to do it now. So let me restart my screen brush, and then we can go ahead and get started. So first thing I want to do is, where is it? Okay, so we don't have screen brush. All right, so in that case, we can't. That's super interesting. Why isn't it working? So AT, 1 second. Let me go ahead and, okay guys, we ain't got screen brush today. It's annoying, but it is what it is. Okay, so I'll explain it anyway. So we've got effectively a couple of things in this tech stack. You can always go ahead and, firstly, your main decision is what are you building? So in this case, we're building a web app. So we're gonna be building it with Next.js as our framework, that's our foundation. If you're building Expo, sorry, for like a native app like iOS or Android, I'd recommend you go with Expo, which is effectively a layer on top of React Native. Okay, we're gonna be using Next.js, which is effectively React under the hood. We've got Clerk, like I said, for the authentication and for the, billing. So that's going to handle all of those elements, and it's going to be incredibly quick. You guys are going to be amazed. And then the main learning thing that you should be looking for when you're watching these episodes in this series is all of the AI gems that I'm going to show you. For example, how to install skills, MCPs, all of those things, plugins. That's what's going to allow you to take something like an episode that you're watching right now and go and actually build something useful yourself. So that's really where the value is at. And that's where I really recommend you guys dial in when we're doing things today. Okay. So with that in mind, we're just going to jump straight into it. So I'm going to go ahead and actually close this out and just prepare a few things. I've actually changed my entire screen layout now. So I've got an extra screen now, which is why if you see my eyes wandering around, I'm just getting used to that, which is a nice change, but it's also different, right? Before we jump into it, I just want to see some of the comments that we got flying in today. We've got Malawi in the house. What's good? We've got Mustafa. I see you. He goes, Sunny, where have you been? A long time. Honestly, I've been more active than ever. It's just YouTube has a way of maybe hiding the videos lately. I don't know. But let me know if you've seen the videos pop up or if it's disappeared for you and come back for a while. I'm interested to see how it's appearing on your guys' feed. Mustafa goes, I don't know Tatiana personally, but Sunny is always pumped on board, so I had to call her out. Hey, there we go. Cohen Jamal says, all right, we got Bangkok here watching live from Nigeria. What's good, dude? All right, nice to see you guys. Let's go ahead and dive straight into it. So I want you to go firstly to Convex. This is where we're actually going to have our initial prompt. Go to the documentation. And the reason why I like to start here is because honestly, it gives you a very good starting point for your app, right? So Next.js over here, this is actually the one we're going to use. Now, before we do that, we're going to need a Clerk account. So what I want you to do is the first link in the description. Guys, it means everything. Like I can literally carry on making videos like this for free just because you go through links like the one in the description. So all I ask that you do while you watch these videos, one, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already, because there are so many people that watch these videos that aren't liking the videos. Destroy that like button right now, and also subscribe and hit the first link in the description to go ahead and sign up with Clerk, which we're going to be using today, okay? So you need to go ahead and do that, then click on Start Building, and then it will take you to your login. Now, in this case, actually, I'm going to go to the dashboard first because I want you to create your account first, okay? Now, we're going to go over to, let me go ahead and actually pop open my, so you want to, when you actually start up for the first time, you're going to have this screen pop up. So it's going to go ahead and prompt you to create an application, okay? So here we're going to go ahead and call ours. We didn't actually give it a name, all right? So I'm going to give you guys 10 seconds. Whoever comes up with the name the fastest will be the winner here. So someone come up with a name, and I'm going to go ahead and use that name, and then we're going to dive into this build, right? So in the meantime, sign up your accounts, and we can go ahead and prepare a few things in the background, right? So what we're also going to do is the reason why we're going to use that installation command from Convex is because it also helps actually install the base of the plugins that we need for Convex. And that basically is how our agent understands how to use Convex as if it's a Convex expert, right? So that's one thing that we really want to benefit from. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And also while we're at it, I'm going to change the music today to be something a bit different because I'm getting a bit bored of this music. So let me know as well. Do you like the lo-fi style of music, or let me go and do this one, lo-fi introvert radio. Let's see if this one's good. Kind of easier to focus a bit more when it's like this. Okay, so we're gonna call ours, let's see. Let's come up with names. Someone goes, Sunny Setup looks good, like a space station right now. Call it not X. We could call it not X, but I'm just worried. I'm worried that some Elon guy is gonna come after us. Not X is one of the names. Go ahead, give me more names. We've called it, oh, so we got Y. That's kind of cool. Imagine if somebody came in halfway through the stream though. This is so confusing. They're gonna be like, what the heck are these the guys doing, right? Finally, something different on the music part. Okay, there you go. See, all I need you guys to do is talk to me and I'll change it up. Okay, not X, Y. What else are we calling it? Because I guarantee someone's getting confused right now. Okay, so I think we can call it maybe like socially, but that's a bit of a boring name. But I'm gonna add it here in case. Oh, we need a name, right? Birdly. Birdly's kind of cool. Sunny X. That sounds like an interesting site. Anonymous. Let's go ahead and do it. Maybe Anonymous is kind of cool. But carry on dropping names, right? While we do that, I'm going to set things up on the back. Oh, I can't because we need the name. Okay. Hello, we could call it. Looking forward to this one. Thanks. Oh my God, I need a name. I need a name, guys. Nextly. It's close. I don't know. I need a name. I'm actually stuck right now. I need a name, guys. Come on, be creative with this one and give me a solid name. Let's call it something like. Oh no, someone just jarring me out. Birdly, Tweetly. Oh, guys, this is. I'm not impressed. We could go. God. All right. I'm just gonna call this one for now. Not X on the back end side of things. Okay. Clave. Clave is kind of interesting, actually. Bro, Clave. Bubble. Done. Bubble. There we go. Bubble's nice. Yeah? Bubble's cool. Bubble's going to be a cool thing. It's a social media platform, Bubble, and we can call maybe the AI Bubbly. So well done to Dar Knight. Right? He's got the one. Bubble, right? That's going to be our app. So imagine you can go on, you can add in different social authentication methods. With Clerk, it's literally a toggle away. Right? So shout out to you. Yeah, Dark Knight. You saved myself there, right? So in this case, we got this down. First thing I want you to do is not actually these commands. You could do this, or you could just copy the prompt. But instead, I'm actually going to go to Convex and I'm going to go to Next.js. And then I want this command, okay? Now, in a different terminal, I'm actually going to go ahead and open up a separate new terminal. I've got an app that I was actually running previously before this. Let me go ahead and close that up and open up a fresh one. Okay, so in this case, I've just updated OMA as a SH. You don't actually need anything fancy here. You could just use a regular terminal. I'm using Warp here, but we're going to go ahead and do the following. Now, I like to go ahead and put my builds inside of a builds folder, right? I don't like just throwing them everywhere. So we're going to go into documents, builds, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the following. Let me hide that as well. We're going to do npm create convex latest, right? And then we need to give it a name. So we're going to call this one Bubble social app for the backend, okay? And then a Next.js app router, and then we want to do clerk when it asks us which user authentication we want to use, okay? Now, while that's happening, that's going to set up our app. I want you to go back over to your setup instructions on Clerk, and these keys right here is the magic sauce. So we need this, right? Now, in the back, we could actually go ahead and do, the Clerk CLI stuff, but I'll show you how we can actually do that afterwards, because I think it's going to set everything up for us anyway. But I think it also updates your dependencies as well. Right now, while you're watching this, by the way, you can feel free to actually use any AI IDE that you want. There's no real right or wrong here. You can use Claude, Codex, Anti-Gravity. I like to use Cursor. Okay, so I'm using Cursor, especially when I'm teaching, because it's the most visual, and I can show you guys code as well as the agent flow. Okay, so now we're going to CD into the app. This music's way nicer at the moment. All right, then we're going to go ahead and do cursor dot. Okay. Somebody said I also built a Codefolio app, but not published. Nice, well done, dude. right? So in this case, we started it up. Now notice how I'm inside of the IDE. This is known as the editor window inside of Cursor, okay? We also have the agents window. So I'm gonna open up both and just show you the distinctively how each one is. But in this case, give me 1 sec. This is what it would look like once you're on the agents window, okay? So on the left, I have the editor window. On the right, I have the agents window, right? Now the agents window is actually more of similar to how we would have things over at Claude, or similar to how we would have things over at Codex. And this is more the traditional VS Code style of editing, right? So we're going to start off here so I can give you guys a bit more of a breakdown as to what actually is in the code and everything. So I always recommend as well, when you're starting your projects, start from here, right? I want to do a git init, so we have a initial, kind of a repo to push. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a .env.local file. I remember those keys I talked about earlier. We're going to go ahead and grab them. So go back over to Clerk, grab those keys, head back over, and then we're going to paste them in, okay? Now, once that's done, I want you to just do one simple thing. We're going to do npm run dev. But before that even, I recommend that if you're like me and I don't like using package lock, I'm going to delete that and I'm going to use pnpm install instead, okay? So pnpm install, and you can actually do that from the get-go, but I just forgot. But in this case, it's just going to use my reused components, node dependencies, instead of installing them from scratch. And I have tons of apps, and that will reduce the amount of space that's used on your computer. So it's kind of a helpful thing to do. Now, once you've done that, we want to go ahead, and you see you got pnpm lock, okay? So pnpm dev next. Now Command I to hide the sidebar. And now this will start up our app on localhost 3000. But before it does, it's going to prompt us to create a Convex project. Okay. So in this case, I want to go ahead and create a new project. Now for me, I've already logged into Convex, right? So in this case, it didn't ask me to log in, but for you guys, you'll have to log into Convex, and that's fine. It just pops up with a simple link, and you just do the login flow. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new project now. And then I'm going to do my team, and we're going to call it Bubble Social App Cloud Deployment. And I think I have enough. Yeah, I do. Okay. So it created the project, and now you can see like installing Convex Agent skills, right? Now I want you to pay attention to, on the top left, you can see we've got agent skills that have just been added in. These are so important, guys, because what this is going to do is going to, again, whenever we speak to our agent now, it's going to have basically the brain of an expert for Convex. Okay, so that's what we effectively want to be doing, right? It's Preen says, Sunny, I have a question about the billing part inside the Cursor IDE. How does the on-demand thing work, and how can I control the whole thing to prevent from charges? Good question. So it's very, very simple with with Cursor, sorry. Is he asking about Cursor? Okay, Cursor. So with Cursor, simply in settings, if I go to my Cursor settings, you'll see, if I do Command J, go to my plan and usage right now, I'm pretty fresh on this plan. So I've got 10%. And then in this case, I can go down here and I've got 23% of my API used, okay? So on demand, you can set a limit here of 0 if you wanted to, right? Now I'm on the Ultra plan. I pay $200 a month for this one. But again, whatever fits your budget. Obviously, if you have a bigger plan, you can use the bigger models, and completely up to you. In my opinion, the actual spend on tokens is less when I do it in the agent window as opposed to in the editor window instead of the agent window. But play it with it and see how you do, right? But in this case, yeah, you can just set a limit of 0, so it wouldn't charge your card. And then obviously just choose a plan that your budget allows for, right? So once we've done that, you can see it spun up the browser over here as well. We're going to actually close that because I don't like to have the browser like this. I'm actually going to go ahead and spin up a separate. I'm going to open over something like this. Somebody says, can I use Convex for production? Dude, 100%. Absolutely, you can use it for production. Again, I've got new screens. That's why I'm a bit all over the place. Okay, so I'm going to spin up my localhost. Yeah, you can use it for production. I have several production apps right now for clients that are actually out using Convex. So, and they do a lot of volume, so you can definitely use it, right? Again, if you build something badly written, no matter what you use, you're going to get billed badly for that because you're going to be inefficient. So that's some of the things to look out for when you're building as well. Obviously, you want to be building well, right? So you're not making unnecessary API calls, going through quotas, that kind of thing. Now, once that's up and running, good job, right? Everything seems to be good. I would recommend you sign in and see if it works. So you should see sign into Bubble or whatever you did. In this case, I'm just going to log into my app and I should be able to do this, right? So sunny.sanga, let's go ahead and log in. And then in a moment, if I click on continue, it's going to go ahead and log us in. And there we have it. I've got logged in. So that's it. That's literally our authentication done. That's why I love Clerk, because we're not spending ages building it out, right? Now, two things need to happen right now. One, I'm pretty sure the Convex starter template is not up to date. So what I would highly recommend you do is let's go to the Clerk CLI. I've already installed this CLI, so I'm not going to do that again. You just need to go ahead and install it. But I'm going to go ahead and do Clerk init just to make sure everything is up to speed with the latest stuff that's installed. Now I'm going to keep this running and I'm going to open a second terminal and I'm going to paste it in and say Clerk init. Okay. So you can see, look, it detects the framework, and now you can see, look, it's got a couple of things where it's saying, okay, select the Clerk application to link. Now, I have got the app already created, so I just need to find it. So obviously I've got tons of apps that we've been building. So this one is going to be called Bubble. So let's try and find it. Where is it? Bubble. Okay, well, unless I skip past it. And it should be, let's see, so right now, unless it was right in the beginning. It would be interesting. Okay, so where is it? Select up, plug in it. Does it? Sometimes create a new application. So I'm either skipping through it and I'm not realizing, or I'm on a different account. I believe I could be on a different account right now for the Clerk side of things. So let me just try and find it. Okay, so it's not on this one. So what account am I in? Clerk login. Let's do Clerk login. You're already logged in as Sunny. Let me check. What Clerk account am I logged in as here? So if we go to Clerk, I'm on my team account. Ah, okay. Interesting. So I shouldn't have done that. In that case, we're going to do Clerk log out. And then I'm going to do Clerk login. And let's just log into my team account. Okay. So I'm going to continue. I'm just going to quickly log in with the team account. So I see why, because I didn't actually do it on the right account. Okay, so let's do team at Papa React. And give me 1 second, guys. I need to do my authentication again. And if you screw it up like me, you just do a Control-C and then do it again. And then you'll be able to do it one more time. Hey, look at that. We got Kenya in the house. I love Kenya, guys. All right, let's do Clerk login one more time. Personal. I was in Kenya last year. Let's do Google Team Pop Red. Okay, so there we go. And then what it will do is it will ask you, this will allow CLI access to do the following. So we're going to click on allow, and then you go authentication successful. We can close it, head back over now. And then if I do Clerk init, we should see the right one. So in this case, it should see detected next or link to Bubble. Okay, because it detected the keys. Clerk init will make the following changes, right? It already has the proxy. It's going to add a custom sign in and sign up page. And then it's going to modify the sign in, the environment locals. We can say yes. And look how it's doing it all for us, right? And then this is the main bit that I want you guys to focus on. Install agent skills, Clerk core features and Next.js patterns, right? We're going to click on yes. And then it says which package runner should install the skills, pm DLX, because I changed to pm, remember? But if you're using npm, it would have been npx. Okay, so it installed it. And then at this point, you just want to make sure you have your correct ones installed. So in this case, Codex, Cursor, all by default installed. Claude Code as well if you want, and then OpenClaw, whatever else you're using, feel free to install it. Press enter. And then I like to do these ones for project more than global, unless it's something like Superpowers, which is a very cool plugin, which I'll show you afterwards. So let's proceed with the installation. And then it's prompting us again for a second one. Let's go ahead and install that. Same thing. And then we have it. And you can see, like, update is available. So Clerk update, oh, that's actually for the CLI. So I'm going to do that as well. So let's just make sure our Clerk is up to date. And speaking of up to date, what we want to check as well is while that's happening, go to your package.json. And I want you to make sure that your dependencies are the latest. So you can see this says Clerk React. That's actually wrong, right? We actually want to make sure that we're updated to the latest Clerk version. So right now, this is 6.39. That's wrong. We're going to change that. So I want you to Command I to pull out your agent. And I'm going to show you how we can actually do that. So if I do /Clerk, I've actually got so many skills here. So we don't only use those ones. If we go here, you can see that Clerk custom UI. We've got the orgs set up as well, right? So I'm going to say, and I'm actually using something called Super Whisper. So this one right here, So you should visit Malawi too someday. It's on the list, right? I added to the list because I want to be traveling a lot more. So Malawi, there you go, right? 1 second, what's this one? Install. I need to fix that one afterwards. Okay, because I changed it a little bit differently. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to use Super Whisper, and again, use code Sunny25, I believe, to get a little discount there as well. But I really recommend Super Whisper. It's awesome. All right, so I'm going to say we need to upgrade the Clerk Next.js dependency to the latest version, and then make sure all of the other versions, for example, clerk/clerk-react is actually needed. It should actually be clerk/Next.js, I believe. So go ahead and upgrade everything and make sure you use the installed Clerk skills. Right. So again, I like to keep it quite fuzzy. I don't really even check this when I do it. And then what I do is I shift it into plan mode, right? Shift it into plan mode, select your model. In this case, we can do any model really. We can do Opus 4.7. I'm actually going to stick it on Opus 4.7. But just know, actually, you know what? Screw it. Let's do GPT 5.5 today. I'll show you guys. So if we do GPT 5.5, it's actually a very good model for consistently getting good results from coding side of things. Okay. So now that that's done, so I'm just checking the chat as well. Okay, so it was Cohen says, can't believe my stream was 45 minutes open prior. Simply did not start playing only once. Hey, what G, good stuff. All right, I'll plan the dependency upgrade first using the Clerk skill path and current package state. There we go. Okay, so we can actually kill this one, right? And also you might be wondering, when he ran npm dev, why did it run Convex as well as the app? Well, it's because of these right here, right? So we've got Convex dev start, and then we've also got next dev. And because it's in the quotes here, that's actually meaning run it in parallel, these two commands, okay? So Caden says, with AI coding, it's become way too easy. Can't take a problem and build a solution same day. This is why I want to build this series, okay? So whilst, yes, you could build something, building something and building something good is a whole different, they're two different things. So this is why I'm trying to do this series right now, because please do not fall into the trap of building something thinking that it's going to be able to scale and it's going to be able to work. Anyone who's built a production app would scream this at you 10 times over, right? Do not get impressed by, effectively just making a landing page that looks pretty and it's on the web. That is not an app, right? There's a big difference. So we want to make sure that you guys understand how to go ahead and do this the right way. And that's what this whole series is about. And the only way I can do that is through a live stream like this, where I get hours with you guys to talk about this stuff. Oh, look at that. We got a G in the house. Marine from Texas. Guess who's back? What's up, everyone? Yo, what's up, dude? Good to see you. That's awesome, man. We got our OG in the house. So look at this. The log file confirms Clerk React is deprecated and currently pulled both as a direct dependency and through old Clerk Convex peer resolution. So that's owed, okay? So now while that's setting up a plan to fix this, we're going to go ahead and come here. Yeah, you build MVP in a day, then work with clients to polish all out of time. Yeah, look, in the end of the day, are people doing that? Yeah, absolutely. But again, simple stuff, maybe you can say it's going to get you to a degree of working. But if you're trying to build something of substance, it just doesn't take a day. I promise you this, I have agents running all day, every day building an app I'm working on. It takes time and you need to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to quickly have an app full of slop that will just be burning through tokens, trying to fix things over and over again. So I'm trying to teach you guys how to avoid that. Okay. So now we have our plan ready. So see this. And also, guys, read the chat right now. It's actually very, very good. You guys are doing an awesome little debate right now. So even if you're watching the replay, I recommend you read the chat. Okay. So upgrade Clerk dependencies target state. We want to import Clerk next. Yes, is correct. And then remove the Clerk React. Yep. And then we want to change all the import lines. This is good. Proxy. This is very good. Okay, cool. We're going to build. So we're going to click on build and that's going to trigger it off. And this is all happening locally. So all these changes will happen here. Notice how I have a lot of commit changes. That's because we initially started with a fresh branch. So once this upgrade is done, I'm going to do one more configuration step and then I'm going to go ahead and fix that. Okay. Let's see. Marine Protects with my guy. Thanks for the welcome and OG visiting. And OG, hey, you guys, I love your lives and content. Appreciate you, dude. Love the energy so much. It really makes a change to the whole energy. So Lucky here goes, why bro, don't you make something unique? Why are you copying this? So again, look, if you want to suggest any ideas, we're happy to build them on the channel. But yeah, this is one of the ways that it helps stick the kind of concepts. If you already know the app and we're trying to build it and kind of showcase how you build certain elements, it's an easier way to teach as opposed to kind of going through things, right? So, let's have a look. I converted my fitness web app into iOS and got to put it into App Store in 30 days. That's awesome, dude. Well done. More than half of that time was just me waiting on Apple reviews. Yeah, Apple do take time. But yeah, again, it depends. When I mean by substance, I mean like if you're doing, again, the word gets thrown around a lot, but if you're doing any kind of B2B, any kind of like, like app where you've got multi-tenants, you've got permission gating into certain areas, you've got, payment gateways kind of everywhere, it can very quickly grow and you can miss corners of the app is more my point. Especially when you're considering scalability issues. I guarantee if you throw into your app right now, will this scale with 1 million users tomorrow? It's going to probably start pointing out a couple of things that you should probably fix, right? So cursor, I want you to go to your settings, go to cursor settings. And while this is all happening, guys, I want you to install some things. So go to plugins. Now, even Caden, you're going to like this one. Go to plugins and type in Superpowers. You probably already use this, but install this, guys. Absolutely incredible. Now, whenever you're working, and I'm going to do this flow today as well, whenever you're working on something, I want you to make sure that you, every time you finish a branch, you ask it to do a code review. I promise you this thing is going to make such a difference to your entire workflow. So you want to do a code review, and then Superpowers is a very good way of doing that. All right, so there's a couple more that you can install as well. Actually, I will show you those because we actually need them ones. So plugins, it's actually installed a couple already for us, but another one I'd do is Convex, and another one I'd do is Clerk. But you noticed when we did set things up, it actually installed them. If you are using Stripe is a very good one to install as well. Okay. Now, let's go back over here, head back over here. And so I'm building SaaS to transform user reviews into business intelligence. That's very cool, Adam. Feel free to share the link. That's pretty cool. Himena says, which model are you using? We're using GPT 5.5 for this agent right now, but I'll probably switch to Opus 4.7, sorry, in a moment. Okay, so in this case, right, let's let this do it. So package is done. Upgraded somewhat, removed direction, now results. Okay, awesome stuff. Now, once that's done, I want you to actually, we need to connect Convex and Clerk together. Okay, so what I want you to do here is go into the overview inside of Clerk, go to configure, go down to developers, integrations, and I want you to toggle on this Convex one over here. Click on manage integration. And then what we need to do is actually set this up here. So I want you to click on personal account, and then you're going to see in a moment, it's going to say bubble. Oh, okay. In this case, we got personal workspace. One of my clients popped up. Go to personal account. If this loads, why is this happening? Maybe I'm in a wrong thing. 1 second, guys. Okay. Then, and my biggest advice, honestly, when it comes down to all this stuff is never walk into a room assuming you know everything, right? So even when I'm teaching, I always will be open to feedback, open to these sort of things, because this space evolves so fast, guys. I promise you, the best developers I know are the ones who genuinely haven't got an ego behind it. They're happy to admit, okay, I can improve on something. So you never want to kind of walk in assuming that, my solution is the only way to getting something working. In this case, let me just try and fix something because I can't seem to, I've got a bit of a weird edge case right now. I think I'm going to have to log in separately over here on a separate user profile. So give me 1 minute while I log in because I haven't actually logged into this account before on this separate account. Now, another thing I want to mention is while I'm doing this, really handy thing if you're developing loads of web apps is on Arc browser, which is what I'm using. I want you to go ahead and actually set up separate profiles. And what those profiles allow you to do is basically go ahead and have different logins, different kind of users in each one. And why is that so handy is because you can pretty much go ahead and test your app as 2 different users, for example, one is an admin, one is not, and so forth, okay? I'm just logging into Google for the first time. So let me just do this again, boom. Okay. Okay. Now, once that's done, we're going to go to Bubble. And then we're going to click on Configure. And then we're going to go to Integrations. And now, hopefully, it should be okay. So we click on Manage Integration now. And then we go Personal. I have too many. These two things are clashing. Okay. This is because I've got this. So what I might have to do here is there's another way you can actually do it. I think you can do it through the sessions JWT token. So if we do session template and we go to add new template. So this actually this is the one. So we can actually just use this link, right? So it's the same link regardless if you went through the other way. So make sure the integration is on and then come back here. And then I want you to go ahead and do the following. So let's go over to our, let's go over to Next app. I want to go to our Convex, sorry. And then we're on the auth.config. And this is where effectively we connect Convex and Clerk together. Okay, so Clerk JWT issuer domain. This one, we actually need to set this now on Clerk Convex's side. So I want you to run the app, so pm dev. And then we're gonna go ahead and do, there's a lot of chat going on right now. So give me 1 sec. Do you have a board for these animations on stream, or is it somehow automated based on movement? No, it's actually all connected to a loop deck, or stream deck, sorry. So in this case, we need to set this one. So you're gonna click this link and it will actually take you to your, it's not this link, it's personal. 1 second, guys. All my screens are kind of everywhere right now. So let's go ahead and grab this and then go over here. I'm gonna pop in. So let's wait for Convex to log in. And again, I'm on the wrong account. This one here. Okay, I didn't log in. So I believe I'm on my personal. Let's try my personal, we'll see. Why codex, not Claude Code? Yeah, again, you feel free to use whatever you want. There's no preference here, right? So once that's done, the one that we actually wanted was over here. So like I said before, it was solid Pika. You see this one? Solid Pika accounts.dev. And you'll also be able to find that if it's weirdly doing what it's doing with me, is if you go to your sessions, JWT templates, go add new template, Convex, Convex. And you see this one here, Solid Pika? You can actually just grab that as well. So do that, click save. So it really doesn't matter. You can use each one. I think they're both active. So as long as it says active on the integration page. And then here, you want to paste it into Convex. Okay, so this is now going to be connected as a JWT issuer. Now, once you've done that, the error will disappear. So now it can go ahead and do, let's see, auth.config. This is erroring out because we need to basically say if there is no issuer domain, oops, then we're going to say return or console. Sorry, if there is no, let me throw an error. Okay. So I am probably, cannot find process name, do you need a definition and no to fields? All right, so in this case, I've actually, one of my config steps has screwed up a little bit. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to do an install again, which we're good for. And then I'm actually going to just double check why this is not happening right now. So let's just go ahead and pop that in. I would probably suggest maybe at this point, what could be pretty helpful is you maybe started from the other way around. You use the clerk init to maybe set up the app first, and then you add Convex in afterwards. Because the Convex need to update that starter template. Can be quite a big thing. Okay. Otherwise, right now, just getting everything set up. But again, you can look at this. They've got like enough docs to basically get you through that part. Okay. So now, let's go to auth.config. Import auth config. So as far as auth config. Okay, so Convex type checks, apps allow node, pm dev. It added in the ability to allow for node. I don't know if that's actually the right way, but in this case, why is it doing this? Stop this. All right, give that a sec to run. I'm going to create probably my own Convex starter kit because I think every time I have to do this, it kind of gets a little annoying. So this one, I'm going to stop running that. And also, if you want to check if it's actually spun up any kind of terminal session, you can still always see them. Typically, either it'll pop up here, but in this case, it's good. There you go. We're happy. All right. So now that that's done, try load up the website, and you should be able to see everything loads. Right. So as long as you get this to this point and your user doesn't log out, it means that you've connected the two correctly. Right. So once that's done, we're in the perfect place to get started now. Okay. So two things I want to do. We're going to jump over to we've already connected Convex to our Clerk. We've got all of our skills installed, which is perfect. And then we have our design effectively, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to switch to an edit mode. Okay. So we can do this two ways. Now I kind of want to get your opinion on this. Should I show you the way that we can do this with the agents window, or should I show you how we can do this with the IDE? Typically I do it with the IDE, but you guys can let me know. If you're using Claude Code or Codex, then chances are you're probably going to be doing it in the agents window flow. So I'm curious to know, do you want to do this way or do you want to do this way? Right, as in when I can show you the code. So let me know. We'll have a quick water break and then we can jump into it. Okay. So while that's happening, I'm going to spin it up. So okay, I'm just going to do, maybe we start the plan mode over here. Okay, so in this case, on the right hand side is actually the new kind of, they call it the Cursor 3 platform. So in this case, we're going to create a new chat. And then you can see here, we've got main. We've also got local. Now you've got a work tree, which is basically how we can spin up loads of like kind of inner Git branches effectively on our machine. But before we do anything, it reminds me, you should commit, right? So in this case, I'm going to be lazy. I'm just going to stage everything, but you need to commit. So you just got a fresh branch that we can work off. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and commit this right now. And I'm going to commit that. Perfect. Okay. So then we're going to go over to here. And then we're going to go ahead and do the following. So I'm going to use Opus 4.7. And I just want to make sure as well. No, we're not going to do this one. We're going to do Opus 4.7 and extra high. And you see, like I've got it thinking, I've got 1,000,000, and we've got extra high for my settings because someone asked previously about that, right? So what I also want you to do is click on plan mode. So we're going to go in plan mode first, and you should always be starting ideally in plan mode. I'm going to take a copy of this screenshot as our base because I quite like this design. And then we're going to basically start planning out the different features with this. Okay. So I'm going to say, we want to build a Twitter clone called Bubble. Inside of this clone, we should be able to tweet effectively, so we can give it our own name. In this case, we should just be able to post a message. Ideally, it would be cool if we can attach images to that message as well. We should be able to have paginated loading as we scroll down on the page. We should also be able to have the ability to like messages, do comments, so that way we can have threads, and you should be able to like each comment, as well as being able to save bookmarks per user. On top of this, we're going to implement clerk billing, and we're going to have a normal free tier that every user is on when they sign into the platform. And we're also going to have a pro tier, which is going to allow them access to the Bubble agent. When the Bubble agent is basically can either be a chat, so you can go into a screen where you can talk to the Bubble agent. This is effectively is going to replace Grok. And then we're going to have also the ability when we're inside of a comment thread, if we do @Bubble, it should be able to reply to with the context of the entire post and comment thread that it was mentioned on. So this is typically how it works with Grok. Now that should only reply if you're a pro member, and it shouldn't reply if someone isn't a pro member. So that's going to be our level 1, I guess, right? So this is kind of a cool little starting point, or I say little starting point, but it's pretty huge. And again, we don't need to say thank you. And then after this is done, what else could we add in? We've got images, we've got this, we've got the login, we've got the billing flow. And I think for a base, this is kind of good. And also the ability to follow people, I guess. So we should also have the ability to customize our profile and add following and follower. So that way we can see pretty much a following feed as well as a public feed. Okay. Any other features, let me know down below and we can pretty much dive those in. Things like notifications, messages, if we get time, we'll do them. And also the ability to search. Okay. We also want to have the ability to search, and this should be not a debound search, but instead you type in, hit enter, and it's a form search that will load up the most relevant tweets. Okay. And in this case, I'm just using tweets as the example because it has been trained on data, so it understands what a Twitter clone is. Okay. So let's go ahead and execute this right now, and this will spin up our plan mode. Now, in this case, you can check on your agents over here as well. So you can actually do Command E and you can switch into your cloud. In this case, we actually can't see them over here. So that's interesting. So I think if you start from the agents window, you can't actually see them over here. So maybe we're going to pretty much carry on most of our work over here now, because chances are most of you are actually going to just be building with this. So I think it's good that I actually show you pretty much how to go ahead and kind of do it with this. Now, what's been your favorite way to do real-time chat? Good question, Caden. So I would say, honestly, with Convex, it's so easy to do a real-time chat because everything is pretty much real-time by like out of the box. So you pretty much get subscriptions out of the box, and it's super clean to go ahead and do it. Now, if you have used Convex before, what you'll also know is that they have a really, really clean way of caching as well. So you can actually have really, really clean caching approaches. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that as well today. But typically, yeah, Convex is my go-to at the moment for the backend side, because I don't have to rebuild much, and then I can just focus on the actual app itself. All right, which AI provider should power the Bubble agent? Chat replacement for Grok and Bubble disk drive. So we've got a few providers here. Vercel AI Gateway. Yeah, so I want to say we should be using Vercel AI SDK and AI Gateway key. Okay, so we can just use that. And then we click on next or enter. How deep should comments go? This is a meaningful schema decision affects the bubble context we sent to LLM. So flat, one top level under a post, one level of nesting. Comments can have replies, but replies can't have replies. Or fully nested, unlimited depth, true Twitter, Reddit style, more complex. Oh, this is tricky. Okay. Typically, I would actually do fully nested. However, I don't know. I think in this build, maybe we just do one level of nesting. I think we're going to do one level of nesting today, but typically, yeah, I guess for unlimited depth. But yeah, I'm trying to showcase, how the event, you could just go ahead and do a slide toggle, okay? So we're going to do this one, click on continue. So good question. Does Convex include like edge functions as well? So let me actually show you. So they do include a ton of cool stuff. If we go over to Convex now, where we set things up, so they've got functions, which are basically, so the cool thing I like about Convex is basically as you build out the backend functions, whether it's query or mutation, every single one individually gets deployed as actually a cloud function. So you can have internal ones, which have no exposure to online. They basically are called from these other functions, or you can have external, which are basically the ones that can be called from, that are publicly, not publicly available, but the ones that you can call from online, right? But these are all basically connected to the closest CDN. So they have got like edge cloud functions built in. They also have cron and scheduled functions, which are both very useful. I use these in production a lot. The files are good, I'll be honest. They're good for MVP. After you hit a certain point, I would probably build with the files initially. After you hit a certain point, I would probably switch to have a provider like S3, and then I would have the references inside of the data tables instead of using their file storage. Or I'd keep it to like user metadata, for example. So I think this is going to be, man, every time you send this, it gives me an 80. Well, I'm not sure what you mean, 80. I'm curious. But no, you're asking good questions. I appreciate it. Now, let that happen. And also I wanted to show you guys. Now, for the billing, I did mention the billing side of things. We should have actually said, when implementing the billing, we will 100% be using Clerk billing. So check the documentation, check your Clerk skills, and we will be using B2C billing for implementing all billing routes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and steer that as well. And also, guys, you can see this. They have a new multitasking mode, and I really like this. So if I've got tons of queued messages, multitasking will determine if, and this is a cursor thing, and I haven't seen this in Claude or Convex, or Codex, which I thought was kind of cool about cursor, is it will just start basically assigning subagents to those upcoming things if they can be run in parallel. I got an AD. I'm not sure what he means by AD. Ad. Oh, sorry. I was realizing. I was like, what? Okay, ads. I see. Okay. Yeah, my bad, guys. We don't actually control when they come in. So sorry about that, right? So the functions are built into the database. Yeah, so one way of thinking of Convex is it's kind of like an all-in-one different kind of way of looking at things. You really have to try Convex to understand Convex. But if I can explain it in a nutshell, it's not like just a database. Effectively, you got a database, you got cloud functions, you got crons and scheduled functions, all in one place. And it's got a different kind of, it's not a SQL, it's not a NoSQL, it's kind of effectively a merge of both. You kind of have to play with it, but I'm going to show you guys today, so hopefully you get an idea. But once you use it, honestly, I think you'll fall in love with it. I've really struggled to shift away from Convex for a while now. I've loved it. I've been using it a ton. So Bubble, Twitter clone with Pro AI Agent. Let's see, Vercel AI and AI Gateway. One level of nesting, comments, files, Convex file storage. Like I said, for MVP is fine. User sync, lazy, get or create user. Now, this is actually not a bad approach. You can do lazy build, like lazy function calls. And what is a lazy function call? It means that if we try to get the user and they're not existing in the database, at that point, I will create them. Or you can go with a webhook-based approach where when user is created in Clerk, then we go ahead and create user in Convex. Depends on what you really do. The actual most efficient way is the lazy way because you can actually reduce the number, like the amount of data that you store in your database. But it's something to think about. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and actually use the lazy sync, okay? And it really depends. If you absolutely need the user synced, these are decisions you have to make. Following feed, simple fan in on read, or MVP query, follow list, merge recent posts, can swap to fan out later, right? Then you get these nice diagrams. So in this case, we've got a nice little mermaid diagram here, which explains a couple of the things that are going on. Now, instead of, you can obviously go ahead and read all of this while we're live. I'm going to show you more quickly what I would do. But in this case, add free and pro plans in Clerk dashboard, server-side gating, and this is using the correct gating. So these kind of calls right here, has await auth and has plan pro, are from Clerk billing, right? So Clerk billing is awesome. If you guys haven't used it, it's just a godsend. It means that you don't have to focus on rebuilding every time. You can basically just use their components. So this is all, I kid you not, one line of code, right? It's one line of code, and you basically get the entire checkout flow. You don't have to stripe webhooks, you don't have to do anything. My advice is use this and focus on building your app. So similar to what Caden was saying earlier, really he had a very good point about just like kind of getting it released and learning once it's out, is you kind of don't want to over obsess all the time over the architecture. And there was a famous funny saying, but I forgot which CEO said it, but basically you're at a disadvantage if you're a dev. And I get what he was saying sometimes because you can obsess over the architecture too much. But stuff like Clerk just helps you a ton because one, they have a huge generous free tier. It's one line of code to get implemented and your AI can implement it. So why not? Okay, so in this case, we're going to use this to implement everything. And plus it does work with B2B and B2C. And for those of you wondering, is it more expensive than the others? No, it's pretty awesome, guys. Look, it's got the actual same amount of fees than Stripe. Exact same. So why not use them? In fact, they actually partner with Stripe a ton. So they got a bunch of things. Now I'd recommend, I want to show you here, they actually already implemented this. It's not per seat, it's seat limited at the moment, billing. So you can actually do that. And B2B works. Awesome. We use it a ton. So a few things to consider, but went on a tangent. In this case, we can see Clerk billing. Yes, we're going to go ahead and use that. So it will teach us how to go ahead and set this up as well. We've got the pricing page, and they also have custom pricing pages now as well. So we're going to actually use that as well. So we can do Clerk pricing page, billing, SDK. And I'm trying to find a specific page in the docs. I think it's here. So we go Clerk billing. You can see over here, we got the plan with seat limits, custom customizing Clerk. I believe it was. I can show you when we get to it. But it's so simple, guys. Honestly, if you want to gate something on the client side or even the server side components, you literally can have a show when the user is on a plan. Otherwise, render a fallback. Really, really easy. So Clerk works with Stripe or its own thing. You find Clerk easy in Stripe. Yeah. So trust me when I say this. Like it's so easy. Like to use this. It works with Stripe. But by the way, when you're in dev mode, so like development, obviously we start in dev. You don't even need to do. Like, I'll show you how easy this is. It'll blow your mind. Like this is why. And I directly do work with the Clerk team. So like any feedback you guys have, shout, and I can basically tell them. But I promise you, they've just killed this one. So like if you go to billing, go to settings, look at this, enable user billing, okay? I toggle this on. I click on save, and I watch this, right? Now, typically when you do dev flow, if you, or like I say dev flow, I mean like your environment starts off in dev and then you have a prod instance. Now, typically in the dev environment, you'd have to set up at this point Stripe Sandbox. Then you have to go and find everything in Stripe. Love to change the layout of the dashboard a ton. If you've ever worked with it, you know what I'm talking about. But in this case, look what Clerk did. They have a payment gateway, which means you don't have to do anything to go ahead and test it. So this is why I love it. It just makes sense. Like this is what it should be like. So now we don't even have to worry about Stripe. We only have to worry about Stripe when we come to go to production. Then all you do is you toggle Stripe, click on use existing Stripe account, and then they handle all of the connection. So you don't even have to worry about that. And again, no webhooks, no nothing, just works. So this is why it's seriously awesome. And we're going to use it there in its full power and glory, okay? Code surface, the pricing table, by the way, you literally render that component and you have a full pricing table. And there is a customizable option, which I'll show you as well today. All right. And then for the gating, you can do server side or client side. Remember the client side is I showed you the show component. And also the server side is basically just a has. And you can use has feature, has plan. You can even do is logged in, is logged out, the normal kind of checks. So this looks good so far. The only thing I wanted to do is we can probably do it as an upgrade afterwards. But I was going to say we make it so we have the... kind of wanted to do it as... okay, I'll do the caching afterwards. But here you can see bubble inline replies, right? So handled entirely in Convex, and this is really cool, internal action using generate text. So we don't need to leave the backend. The add comment mutation calls, if basically when we add a comment, if that comment mentioned at bubble, this will all happen on a cloud function. So in this case, add comment would call viewer has feature, and it will check the viewer's paid plan if they had bubble agent, all on the backend. And then it would schedule the action with run after 0, which means it just runs it now. And basically, it will go ahead and run the AI flow on that. So then imagine you have like app bubble and it replies to you inline. All of it happens on the backend. And because it's real time, it will just synchronize in and you'll see it afterwards. Pretty awesome. Like that's, in my opinion, that's clean as hell to build, right? So we're going to go ahead and execute this. So we're going to build. We're going to do it locally. So it's going to be making changes locally to our everything that we have. And then I want to run you through this quickly. So on cursor 3, which is the new interface or the agents window, we've got the plan over here, which you can go ahead and close, open it as you wish. You've got the changes as they come in here. You've got the browser here, so you can play with things. So in this case, if I go to localhost 3000, I can see the browser, and then I can actually go into design mode or show console. I can like do design. I could be like change this bit and so forth. Okay, which is very nice. And then we got the terminal over here. Right, so basically if you want to go ahead and do your thing, and then you got the file viewer here. So you can see now what's happening is the flow is actually moving towards agent first and then secondary looking at code. So we're actually pushing heavily towards this direction now. So something to really, really take into consideration. But Caden, he goes, I use Superbase auth and then I have to hook everything up to like Stripe. I'll have a look into Clerk. And dude, I promise you're going to come back to this channel and you're going to, on the next, whether it's today, whether it's live stream next time, you're going to be so happy that you switched to Clerk. I promise you, because it's just like, it's just clean. It's so clean. I wish it was around a long time ago, right? And yes, we do work with them, full transparency, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Like they are simply, so this is like super cool that we get to work with them because I would use them anyway. So this is Shad-CN as well. We're going to be using this, by the way. So if we go to the components, you can see these are all the different components in Shad-CN. Awesome because it just allows us to build really quickly, right? And then of course, when you set up your Shad-CN, I'd really recommend you install the skills. So over here, you can see you can go ahead and set this up as well, add Shad-CN UI. In fact, Cursor made this a bit easier. I think it's in the marketplace. So if we go here, I don't know if it is Shad-CN. Yep, it is now. So you can actually add, oh, that's new. Oh, okay. So we're going to go ahead and add in that plugin, add for the project, add plugin. Why do you want to add to the project? I'll actually tell you a very big reason why you want to add to project. When you start spinning up different agents, whether it's on Cursor, Claude Code, Codex, whatever it is, and whether it's local or a cloud agent, because they have access to the code base, what they're going to see is if you add it for yourself, it's going to be local to your machine or your setup. If you add it to the code base, what you'll see is, I'm going to have this open in the background so I can just still show you code. That's why you see what I mean. Like I can now show you this, but they're going to have all of this. They're going to have all of this stuff installed for the project, right? So because of that, why is it so powerful? Because now they get all of these plugins every time a session starts. So they're always going to have access to the files, right? So by doing that, you actually get a big benefit because now you can go and spawn an agent in Codex tomorrow, and it will still have the right skills set up, right? Of course, you have Claude.md and agents.md as well that you can add into consideration. Now, in this case, we can see, if we click into review, we can start seeing, okay, a bunch of stuff is happening now. We've got globals.css, a couple of changes being made. If we go check out the actual app, or it's stopped running right now, I started to build a couple of changes. Now, what I would do at this point is I typically don't check like this. I typically won't come in and check every single thing like this. I just don't do that. That's the reality of it anymore. What I do is I tend to skim through it. Yeah, and what I'm looking for is not every line of code, everything like that. I'm just looking for certain things. Like if I see nested components, if I see tons of use effects, I'm looking for certain things specifically. Right now, this is very clean though. SVGs, you could just use icon libraries if you really wanted to, unless you're building something custom. For a sidebar here, it's trying to build one itself. We could do this. Again, I would argue that you could even use one of these pre-built ones just to start. Again, like you can feel free to go ahead and customize whatever you want later on. But even these are very, very good starting points, including the blocks. The blocks are actually awesome. So if you go to sidebar, you get tons of variations and you can literally go ahead and get started with these. Look, a sidebar with submenus, a sidebar, a floating sidebar, and so forth. Why is this good? Because honestly, guys, you can just fast forward. You don't have to worry about building the infrastructure and all that kind of stuff. You're just gonna get rolling with the actual feature. Far too long, you spend ages and ages basically getting the info up, and you don't actually build the app that you wanted to build, okay? So I'd say focus more on this stuff instead. Now, the main thing is the schema. So if we go over to the schema now, and again, I'm going to show you the code actually in this one, because I just prefer showing it here. So in the schema, you can see this is where all of the tables get defined. So we have the users table, and you can see we've got a bunch of stuff, clerk ID, username, display name, bio, avatar, URL, and so forth. Right? We've got the banner storage ID, which is basically a storage ID type, and that basically is now connecting to a reference from Convex storage. We have indexes, which help us basically increase the ability to search quicker, basically make things a lot better. Search index is actually a relatively new one. I haven't actually used this much before. And then I think, I'm not sure if that was my cursor that pinged or if that was, no, it's not. Then we have comments, and you can see these link to the comments ID, parent comments ID. So we've got a nested structure, and then we should have a link to the author ID. So you see, the main thing you're looking for is that this is actually not just a loose string, but it's instead actually linking to the users table and so forth. Okay. So a couple of things like this, post likes. Now, again, you can refactor things. You can change things as you wish. But so far, this is not actually so bad. Now, one thing I recommend is when you have a setup like this with comment likes, post likes, what you tend to find is what you have a typical situation where, let's say, for example, I've got 1 million, posts on my page right now, and every single one's got nested details, and every single one's got like counts. You don't want to be fetching every single comment in like your view. Let's say I had 500 comments for whatever reason in my view. I don't want to render every single actual post and comment thread just to get the number of threads per post. So what you actually want to do is look at something like an aggregate. So aggregates are very, very important things, and they actually have a really nice way of doing it in Convex. So Convex Aggregate saves you a ton of computation. So if you go to Convex Aggregate, that's why they've set this up, right? So you can see here, look, keeps track of sums and counts in a denormalized and scalable way. So prime usage of this, for example, will be something like if you've got nested threads, like nested comments. So by adding an aggregate, now you don't have to go ahead and pull everything. Every time something gets added in or removed, it will just update the aggregate. So the number basically behind it. And you can see here, look, maintains denormalized counts and sums for efficient data aggregation, right? And this works at scale, trust me. Like it's very, very good. And you can see this is actually like, it's basically explaining it. You can feel free to check it out yourself. I'm not gonna explain big O notation to you. But in this case, yeah, you guys can see for yourself. It's just gonna be a pretty cool thing that we're gonna add in, right? So I'm gonna add this in as a layer afterwards. But these are things which, by the way, that I was talking about, Caden. Again, is it wrong if you don't implement that? No. But if you do implement this, it's going to save you a lot of like maybe billing under the hood. It's going to basically prevent a lot of things, especially as your app grows to big numbers. Stuff like this will just get you off the ground nicer. And by the way, you get a benefit here with aggregates. You get optimistic UIs out of the box with it. So if you hit a heart button, for example, it's just going to do a +1 to the heart count without you having to recompute every single thing. Stuff like that is pretty good. Okay. It's still fetching the aggregate number though. Wouldn't that just be another field in your DB? Yeah, again, you're gonna have to store things everywhere. But you don't have to effectively, imagine you have a subscription and that subscription pulled 500 posts. Again, I'm speaking big, right? But let's say you pulled 10 posts even. Every single one had like 500 comments. Let's say it pulled 10 posts and 500 comments. And just because one person commented down here, you don't want to render all 10 again. Plus that's what a lot of people do without realizing. With an aggregate, it would just change the one thing as opposed to refetching everything and breaking the entire subscription. Whereas if you know, with a normal subscription, sometimes it could literally be if someone adds a comment down here, your entire subscription might refresh. And that might not look like a problem, but that will rack up a bill at scale and your calls will go crazy. And then you can pair things on top of that. For example, caching layers and things like this. It's going to be a pretty big saving. That's going to kind of climb up together. Posts, but I like this. I like this back and forth. This is really cool. Another ad comment is up. Oh, no way. Sorry about that. Okay, so in this case, W knowledge. I appreciate you guys. Honestly, thank you so much. Which browser is using? I'm using Clerk. Okay. So, Clerk. I'm using Arc. Why am I saying Clerk? Arc. Right. So React Clerk is this. Proof to. That's actually. Oh, sorry. Convex React Clerk. Yeah. So, and also, by the way, while I didn't actually check something here. So if I go to package, oops, what do I do here? Oh. Yeah, if I go to package.json while that's building, I just want to double check that it did upgrade everything. So Clerk Next.js, yeah, 7.3.4. And you want to do stuff like this, right? Like, again, when you're building with AI, typically you just believe it did everything right. You see, when we set up our template, it didn't, right? As in, that wasn't AI, that was the template, but still, you want to come in and you just need to know what to check is my main point here, right? So package.json, there we go. Let's go back over here. And already 4,000 plus, right? 4,000 additions, a lot, right? It's quite a lot of things that we're adding in here. Typically, I would break that up. I wouldn't do this all in one go, but obviously we're live, so why not? Let's go into it a bit. We got the composer for the message. What I would do is I'm going to prepare ourselves for something now. So while this is happening, I'm going to make sure we already have the plugins installed, the right ones. So in this case, plugins over here, we already had Convex. And the reason why I want this one is because I would use it was the rules, I believe. It was, where is it? Query optimization is one of them. It was also schema design, probably one of them as well. But it was, even this is good. One of them has scalability, basically. And it finds it itself. We didn't even have to worry about that, right? But it'll find it itself. And the reason why that's handy is because I always do a scalability check whenever we finish. And plus, you're going to learn every time, right? Next time you just pause for like 5 seconds until I can skip the ad, or maybe longer if watching it gets you paid. I appreciate that, dude. But honestly, you can just I know you don't want to rewind it, but it's a tricky balance. But I get your point. When you're watching it live, you want to stay live without the ads. Honestly, my advice would be, just go ahead and get that YouTube Premium. If we're paying for AI, guys, YouTube Premium, I learn a ton from supporting creators on YouTube Premium. So it stops the ads because I know how annoying it gets. I pay it monthly. Okay, so in this case, get rid of this. Let's check out our diffs. 51 changes. Again, this for me would be considered a big PR, right? So again, and I'm not saying it's a huge, like you can ship these, but do I do this in practice all the time? No. Absolutely not. In fact, I tell a lie. I recently pushed a big branch to my recent app that I'm working on. And it was a 10,000 line PR, which is a rare occasion. Like, I wouldn't recommend you do that. You should be doing it in like small chunks that are kind of like, composable. You can kind of revert if something goes wrong. Okay, so let me move proxy, middleware logic actually exists, proxy me update to match 16 bubble. Okay, so sometimes things like this, I get a bit, so it should stay as proxy. Yeah, okay. Okay, so one thing I do think that they need to improve with the new layout is maybe the editor side of things, if I'm honest. I still like this editor. I mean, probably I've been involved in it for so long that I'm so used to using it. But I also, if I do need to review things manually, I will most likely be doing it here. I'll most likely be doing it in this editor view. So I still jump between the two, and you can kind of, either use the kind of tricks like this, but when I'm looking at code, I guess I'm very well trained to look at it from here, as opposed to from the new agents window. Okay, so this is now trying to run the app. We can see it spinning it up. Localhost 3000, so we go check it out for ourselves. Hit a refresh and let's see, is it still running it? Yeah, look at this. So we got our initial bubble UI going on. Is it the cleanest? I wouldn't say it's super clean, but it's not terrible either. So in this case, sign in to see posts from people you follow. And then this little next bubble that's moved out of the way. So if I click on a few things, okay, sign into bubble. So we've got our sign in LinkedIn. Let's go ahead and do our sign in. Let's just start testing things out. And also, one reason why I don't always use this is because some of my auth profiles don't follow through. So if I click sign in, that again, I don't want to have to do my login. So you can do it yourself, but I'm just going to be a bit lazy here and do it on the side over here. Okay. So what's bubbling? That's kind of cool. Right. So if I go ahead and say, we're not going to test it yet. I want to make sure that it's fully done before we do, because there's a step after this. So someone says, oh, it's agent window, very easy. The main thing is, again, it's not that this is, it just does all our work for us. No, like I said, we're focusing on what you should be looking for like if you're going to use AI to code. Okay. So agents came on cursor. And I really want to stress one point here as well, right? So regardless if you're using, Cursor, Claude, Codex, whatever you use, okay, it really doesn't matter. The more what I'm teaching here is the principle of what you should be checking, plugins, MCPs, that kind of stuff. Like those things carry over regardless. Do I use all three? Yeah, I use Claude, I use Codex, I use Cursor. I use all three to build different projects, to do stuff. So they're all moving in the similar direction right now. They all have this kind of agentic flow where you can work on different projects at the same time and so forth. Okay. Also marketplace, they all got their own marketplaces and stuff like that. Like Expo has its own stuff here as well. Slack, all this stuff. I use Linear a ton, by the way. I use it more with Claude Code and Codex. Okay, so in this case, how far are we down? We're 6 out of 11, and they're still kind of doing its thing. Now, what we could do is we could spin up a review so far, but it may change things. So I'm going to let it continue on doing what it's doing in the meantime. But what we can do actually is start setting up our pro plan and stuff like that. So what we can say is we can actually spin up a sub agent here. And if you do shift and tab, you can see I get the multitask option. So you can do that as well. But if I was to go ahead and say, while you're building, explain to me how to set up clerk billing so I can do that in the background. Okay. Now if I go ahead and do this, I'm going to say start multitasking. And you see like run tasks in parallel. And this is something that Cursor does, by the way, that I haven't seen the others do in the same thread. I know you can do separate, chats, but in the same thread. So look at this, continue bubble implementation. But now in the background, it's continuing things out. And then over here, it's gone ahead and told me what to do. So this is kind of cool, right? So that way I can kind of carry on. I'm not blocked. It's still on 6 out of 11. Pretty awesome. So now open your app in dashboard.clerk, billing, enable billing, which we already did. Clerk development gateway is fine. Subscription plans. Make sure you're on the plans for users tab, B2C. Yeah. And then we're going to go ahead and do Codex does have sub agents, but it's not the same as this, by the way. Right. And by the way, I do use automations in Codex and in Claude Claude Code, they're called routines. In Codex, they're called automations. Automations are different because automations spin up a chat, which is local on the computer. Routines spin up a cloud agent, which is running in cloud, so you don't have to have your machine on. But again, they're all going to catch up with each other and do this stuff together. But Codex just released the app as well in ChatGPT today. So if you have the iOS, Android ChatGPT app, you can now get Codex. However, again, you need to have something running. So I have a Mac Mini with Codex running all the time. And then I basically will remote into that through the ChatGPT Codex app, which just got released this morning. So yeah, crazy world we're living in right now. Things are getting upgraded every single day, every single second. So really, really fast kind of movement. And that's why I recommend, like I said, like join our community, because honestly, this stuff changes so fast. Like this is where we're going to have weekly calls. We're going to have everything dialed in. Every single thing that kind of gets released and out, I don't have a place where I can put it right now. And this is where it's going to be. So 0 to AI Agent. Actually, we're going to be calling it 0 to AI Hero at the moment, actually. We just need to change the name here. But pop in your name, email, the link is in the description, and you can feel free to go ahead and join us, right? So that's going to have like coaching calls where it's effectively going to be all of this stuff covered in depth, right? Because we all need to catch up with this stuff every single week. It changes so much, right? So go to billing, go to create plan, and we're going to create the pro plan. So over here, we're going to go ahead and do the name. So I want this to be pro. So I'm going to say pro. And then this one, the key is pro. Description, you could just say, you know, the pro bubbly plan. Yeah, to unlock cool stuff. Whatever you want. You can have so many different ones as well, right? Free trial, let's say we gave people a 48-hour free trial, or you can just say whatever you want, 7 days, whatever you want, it doesn't matter. Publicly available, yes. So it'll appear on the pricing table. And then the base fee. So the monthly base fee starts off with pretty much whatever you want to charge. In this case, we could say, okay, for the pro, we could say maybe it's $14.99 a month, right? And then you can do an annual base fee. And then the way this works is you just say what the monthly equivalent would be. So if you pay annually, we're going to say, okay, it drops down to $11.99. And then, but really that will charge them $143 a year. Okay, so this is the way that they ask you. And then for features, you can actually add in specific features. Now, like I mentioned before, you can gate meaning you can hide and show certain features in the app based on two different ways. You can have it gate based on plan or gate based on feature. The benefit of doing feature means you can just toggle it from the back end, and you can basically like have control from the back end, like feature flagging effectively, instead of having to change the entire code base. So let's do a description, monthly price, let's say publicly available, yes. And then add the bubble agent feature to pro, right? So there we go. So add feature, we're going to call this one bubble agent. I'm going to say bubble agent, and description, the friendly AI community bot. Okay, publicly appear, yes. Create feature, cool. And then we'll click on save. And now if you're subscribed to Pro, you'll get access to that, okay? So our code checks this, and Convex reads the following. Oops, let's go back down here, okay? And then save. Now the free is implicit. Every signed in user is by default has that. Why the Convex JWT template? So we've already done this, yeah? But one thing we didn't do is we didn't change the claims that get passed through. So we need to actually change that. So the way that we do that is we've already done our billing. So in this case, we go over here. So we've got our free plan and our pro plan. And you'll notice here it says free user. So it's not free key, it's free user, right? You can change, I think you can change that though if you click it. But I want to show you instead the actual claim. So if you go to sessions, when you log in, you're going to go to JWT. I believe it's in sessions here, right? We've got the AUD, which is the Convex, right? Side of things. Now, in this case, if I click on preview user, I can actually find my user and I can show. So in this add claims to preview template to show the preview. So we want to actually do, we're going to add in two things, the plan and the feature. Okay. So .pla and .feature. I don't know if that's supposed to say that. But in this case, we can just find, right? So we do, so PLA, so that's the plan. And then what we do is we put in the actual thing. So in this case, other, we've got default claims. We've got here session actor. I believe the one that we actually are after is user .public. public metadata.plan. I don't like this way. This is the thing. So we don't want to do it from the public metadata like this. So I'm going to say we don't check the user's plan and feature from the public metadata. We use the SDK, the Clerk Billing SDK, to do this. So you have to call it out sometimes because this is not the way that we want to do it. We don't want to have it attached to your JWT and all that. It's not a good way of checking. You can do, there are reasons why you might want to do it. In this case, we don't want to do it. All right, so we're going to go back over here. And then you're right, I steered the wrong way on step 4, see? Populate it natively. We don't want this. If you haven't had to, if you haven't used to make a user session shortcode, never use metadata. Again, I don't know if that's actually a thing. But sign in, let's see. Okay, billing enable clerk automatically merges the session. There we go. How to verify it's working. Sign in, use the following. You should see plan, pro, and bubble agent once you subscribed. Okay, so we can actually check this afterwards. But in this case, we've set up the backend. That's literally all you needed, by the way, for the billing, right? Once we have the pricing table component rendered in, it's done. Like, it's crazy. So now all you would need to do is go ahead and throw in the, what's we do B2C? You literally just throw in the pricing table. So this one here, look, throw in a pricing table. Crazy, yeah? That's it. You throw that in and that'll render an actual pricing table. Now, if you want to customize it, you have got options here. You've either got the pricing table, which is this, and you've got a little bit of customization options, and you've also got a theme editor. So you can go ahead and do this. This is new, by the way. I love how Clerk add everything. Hey, whenever I use Clerk on the stream, I love the fact that like they literally change it. And then like as I'm on stream, I realize that it's been updated. So it's kind of cool, right? So we can change all the colors, the theming, the spacing and so forth to make things a bit more, you know, spacious, whatnot. But if you really need like full control over everything, it's fine. You can do that. They've actually added in the ability to do that. So let's go over to the previous page and go back to billing plans. Let's do billing for BTC. Go to pricing table, and I want you to go to this one here. So we've got a couple. You've got checkout button. Now this button will render that slide out thing. So in this case here, if I click this, you see how it slides out the checkout button. So all we need to do is have our own custom pricing page and just render checkout buttons, right? And then we just pass in the subscription ID, which we can find when we set up the plan. So that's number one. And you basically pass in monthly or annual. So you can control the front end build and everything. So we can do this. And then you got the plan details button and the subscription details button, which pulls up all the users, you know, details so they can modify everything. So again, the AI is trained on all this with the skills that we've already installed, and it's pretty damn cool, right? So you can literally go ahead and do it fairly easily, okay? So with that done, let's just check on what our agent is doing now. So you can see that if I click on this, it says 1 working. I can click on this one. And now we can see that that one is carried on. It's now on the final step, 11 out of 11. If we click over here as well, one thing I really like is we can actually see the entire context usage. So we're on 285K tokens, and you can see the breakdown of all the different usage across tokens, across different like, you know, areas. So this is pretty cool. Now all routes back to green. Quick little water break. One thing I want to mention as well is that we are using the Vercel AI SDK. So I should have actually potentially added in the this entire thing really. So I should have added in the entire, I mean, it'll be able to do it itself, but there should be skills for this as well. I believe actually in Cursor, there's a plugin. So if we go over here, we go to plugin, here, we type in Vercel. Here we are. I've already installed it, right? So AI Gateway, AI SDK, Auth, Bootstrap, Chat SDK. This is what you want, right? And by the way, you might ask a question, why, Sunny, should we install it through the plugins instead of just installing the skills from like a CLI command? Plugins are much more better when keeping up to date with things. So for example, skills can get outdated. They're literally just basically like a text file and some, right? So with the plugins, one, they're safer to install because they've been vetted from the teams themselves, like so Cursor, Claude, Codex would have vetted these things. But it's just a lot better as well because it will update, right? So as they got like stable versions, they'll update it in the marketplace, and then your agent just knows, actually need to update it. So they've effectively baked that into the marketplace style of building things. So what you still need to do in dashboards, enable billing, done. Sessions, customize session token, no, we're not going to actually do this one. Vercel AI Gateway, create an API key, paste it in as the AI Gateway API key, and then set that in Convex as well. Okay, so those are two things we need to do. In this case, we're going to say, I just want to check one thing. I'm going to say, confirm that we don't use the public metadata approach when checking a user's paid plan. We should be using the Clerk Billing SDK. Okay, let's close this one out. And what's really cool here, guys, is when it has the multitasking mode in action, when it finishes, you'll see that this kind of UI appears, right? So it's finished its job, and effectively it kind of, that's like the preview of what it did. So if you click it, you'll see that. So if you click it, you'll see like, okay, this is what I did, blah, 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 and so forth. And you can kind of look at what that agent did. And then it comes back to the main thread. Okay, so these things are like pretty powerful when you're working across, quite a few things at once. Okay, so this is correct. We're 100% on the Clerk Billing SDK. That's much better. React Client, cool. And the Convex backend is doing this. This is perfect, right? So you can actually type in Clerk Convex integration, Clerk Convex integration, and what you'll see is in their documentation, they keep it up to date very well, right? So here you can actually see you can map additional claims if you want. However, you see configure a Convex with the front end API URL. Now this one was the actual Clerk front end API URL, but remember, we just had it called something else because we used the older template. But again, it doesn't matter what the name is. It just matters that that's the one that you want to basically set, okay? So that's fine. And this has already been set up for us in the starter template. So you can check that for yourself. I didn't show it, but in layout.tsx, we have this. Okay. So use by one small leftover. The worker has added the plan, unused plan, nothing reads to it. So we can say delete that field, not needed, right? So we shouldn't be storing a field called plan inside of the database. We should be checking the Clerk Billing SDK against the user's session at what that is, okay? Here it says billing, identity claims identity as unknown, feature plan unknown. I don't like that, that's bad. This is very, very bad, okay? So here, that's really terrible, we shouldn't do that. So we'll say don't do this. You should be checking each time against Clerk's Billing SDK, never ever casting as unknown or any. So AI loves to do this as well. So in all of my projects, I set a rule inside my Claude MD or my Agents MD, which says never, ever, ever use any or cast to unknown. Because when you do that, you effectively, AI is like bypassing your TypeScript check. So it's kind of you just don't want to allow that to ever happen, because what's going to happen then is that basically gets past your type checking. So according to your linter, everything is fine, but it's not. It's just basically broken the type safety. So you never want to do that. Okay. Plan removed. Consequence in this case is thinking. Use convert type as a workaround, not a real solution. So I can't directly. Okay. So Convex actions. So we should be using Convex actions really, yeah. Okay. So let that do its thing. So Cohen says, what's bubbling? Actually, great line for this kind of, it's cool. Yeah, what's bubbling? Nice, right? So let's see what's actually been built. So we've got Bubble Pro on the side, who to follow, trending. Let's do, for example, pricing. We've got the pricing. Look at this. Very, very cool. We've got the free plan or pro plan. So in this case, you can see Bubble Agent is there. Start 7-day free trial. If I click it, boom, we get this. Very nice. And you see, you actually get this. I didn't have to code any of this. This wasn't AI coded either. This is all from Clerk Billing. And the second I do that, no webhooks, no Stripe webhooks, none of that. It just works, right? So I'm going to keep it on free for now while we test a couple of things. I've got my user profile and I can edit things. And let's say if I put a picture, I'm going to go ahead and just check. This is one of my actual, oh, wow, that's an old picture of me. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and upload a picture. I clicked on a picture. I don't know if it's uploading that. Okay, it did. Yeah. And then user, let's go ahead and do display name. It's going to be Sunny SS. And then let's just do Sunny, my name. And then let's just do SS. Oh, okay. And then the bio can just be, hey, welcome to my page. I don't know. Okay, something simple. Now click on save. And now we should, that account doesn't exist. Okay. Oh no, it did. So it did, but while it was updating, kind of flickered out. So again, I would test things out, but again, not so bad. Few areas that need upgrading, changing. If we go to settings, we just have a simple settings page right now. Bookmarks, something popped. That's cool. I mean, obviously it's not cool that it didn't work, but that's cool how they handled that failed case, right? So I want to check two things. I want to check the terminal. You can see cursors running a terminal here, and we can go ahead and make this bigger. And you can see we've got a couple of issues here. So what would I do at this point? There's two things I would do, right? I would go ahead and firstly, let's close this out. I don't need to see this. I want to see mainly, in fact, I want to hide this side, right? Confirmed clerk billing, get user billing subscription is the SDK I need. Let me set the Convex environment variable, then refactor. And you see how it actually set the clerk secret for me, right? It actually called the clerk secret for me. And again, I'll invalidate my keys, but this is cool, right? So actually, because of the CLI, it was able to go ahead and do that. We authenticated it. It has access. This is local. And then it went ahead and did that, okay? Now, after this, what I would do is I would never trust it out straight off the bat. First thing I would do is I would make sure, I'm just going to show it again, that I have the Superpowers plugin installed. And then also, I think it's called the code review. There's a few actually that I have. The Cursor Team Kit is very good. They got a couple of like DSLOP and all these kind of things. So you want to get that one. And also the Compound Engineering. I like this one, right? So I've installed all these, to be honest with you. I find that they've all basically significantly helped my agent be smarter. But once it's done, what we effectively will do is say code review the entire work. Make sure it's scalable. Correct, and covers edge cases. I'm also going to do a couple of things like this. I'm going to say separate nested components. So our components or our page.tsx files are not huge. If we have components inside of other components, we should organize them accordingly. Also check for repeated code blocks and deduplicate anything like that. And also check for anywhere where we have any types or unknown casting, because we should never do that. Okay, so these are a couple of things that I recommend you do with every single ticket, right? I say ticket because I'm so used to working in like my own ticket flow. So in this case, once that's done, we let that do, or in case you can honestly queue it, right? It's fine. We'll queue it. And again, I could multitask this one, but I actually want to wait until it fixes or finishes this bit, okay? Now, while that's happening, we need to hook up the Vercel AI SDK, okay? So I'm going to sign into Vercel, and I'm not sure which account I am. So I'm just going to go ahead and hide the screen for a sec and make sure I'm in the right one. So if I go to my account, and I'm actually on a hobby plan. So on a hobby plan, you can generate 50 responses every 24 hours. And we have the following now. I want to check, where is it? They changed it a bit. AI Gateway. Let's go to AI Gateway and then get an API key. So in this case, the AI Gateway is basically like a lot of companies are doing this now, where basically you have one key from a specific provider like OpenRouter and these ones, and then you can effectively go ahead and just select any model and it will bill against one account as opposed to having like different keys per account. So get an API key. I'm going to click this one. Let me go ahead and just double check Sunny's projects. And then it's loading up. I just don't want a key to pop up quickly. So, okay, so this is quite cool actually. So what we can do here is you can do AI assistance. So help me set up AI Gateway in this project, install dependencies, npm install, pull Vercel environment variables locally. So that way we don't even have to expose anything. So that's one thing, right? So I'm going to copy this first. And before I even click this, maybe we just try and do it and see if it can create it on its own, because that would be cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and let that do its thing. And what I'm actually going to do on the back of this is potentially maybe a separate agent. So I'm going to archive the first one, create a second one, and I'm going to go ahead and do, and again, we are on the same branch here. So typically I'll do a work tree, but today I'm just going to show you this. So I'm going to paste this in and you can see, look, so let's go ahead and help me set up AI Gateway in this project. So let it do its thing. Let's see what it does. And by the way, I think you can do it here. Yeah, you can actually separate the two. I don't know if you guys knew how to do this, but it's kind of cool. So you can actually have things, you know, kind of up at the same time. So similar to how we would, you know, have code up at the same time. And I think you can wrap as well. So you can wrap these two fields. So can we do, yeah, we should be able to wrap. I mean, I think mine is just weirdly bugged out there for a sec. So if I do that again, oh, okay. Anyway, it's probably a little thing that they need to fix. All right. But in this case, let me do an audit through, and or actually it's because I probably zoomed in so much. It's probably broken the UI a little bit. But in this case, we've got both running now on the side. Now you have to be careful here, where when we have the somebody said maybe CMI. Okay, well, when we have two running locally, there can be clashes, by the way. So you really want to be careful of this. But it's critical cloud that we need to preserve. Let me check Vercel auth and then handle linking and environment pool safe. You're authenticated as Sunny. Let me link the project and safely pull environment variables. I'll back up environment local first so we don't lose the Clerk Convex secrets, right? Now, on the left-hand side, code review is done. And we can see that good news on casts, 0 as any as unknown, or TypeScript ignore, good. But it did find a couple of things, that duplication. Decorate post, see, implemented 3 times. Shape is repeated 3 times. List followers and list following are mirror images, right? Sign in CTA, we've got a couple of repeated lines of code, agent badge. These are all kind of things which you'll always guarantee, I promise you, you'll find out, right? Oversized files with nested components, agent chat 330 lines, defines message by empty state inside the same file. It has such a bad habit of doing this. I promise you, it happens all the time. Like you see this file, look at it, it just has nested components, message bubble. Like we shouldn't have that. We should have things like only if there's a specific reason why you want to do that. But in this case, we shouldn't be doing that, right? Try to get used to the new shortcuts in these new screens as well. Command B tends to open up the sidebar. Command Option B tends to open up the right sidebar. Okay, so now we're switching from the VS Code shortcuts. So correctness, scalability, list for post, list following, paginates or global post. No MVP limitation. Okay, so step 1, so let's let that do its thing. Dedupes, now it's just deduplicating everything. And over here, let's see, AI Gateway is working perfectly. The script streamed a response from via ODC, no API key needed. Here's a summary of what's up. AI package already installed, Vercel project linked, backed up, and then it found the Vercel token. AI Gateway is working perfect. Okay, so down here, refresh it locally with this overwrites file. Okay, so if I come back here now and I hit refresh, I just want to double check something. So you can see that we spent a penny, right? So something happened and you can see that it came in here. I can see Bubble Social App and you can see it called GPT-5.5 a second ago and it was 1 cent, right? So don't know what it did. But if we go into API keys now, I can see that Vercel OIDC token, which says this one here. If we go back to that. So authenticate requests without a managed API key. Interesting. I actually didn't know that, right? So that's pretty cool. I guess it's because it's authenticated. It probably did it that way. And you can see I've got 47 worth of credits, okay? So probably 50 requests. So it's good. Like again, it's free to try, right? So we're 100% on the Clerk Billing SDK. Cool. Oh no, this is not mine. Yeah, here, deduplication, front end dedupe, apply the new primitives across the UI. Okay, so let's let that do its thing. Okay, just reading the comments as well. You can see our workflows actually use this. Okay, so a couple of good things that you guys are mentioning in the chat. Workflows and automations, right? So what they're referring to here is, for example, inside of Claude. So let me see if I can maybe, I don't want to show one of my personal ones. Actually, it doesn't really show anything. Okay, so no, it's going to show everything. Okay, basically, I can't show that. But in Claude, we have routines, right? And then in Codex, we have automations. Basically, each one, what I have is I have something like a green light automation. I'll read them out. I have a scalability auditor, which runs every time something is pushed. I have a PR branch updater. So basically, at the end of every single night, if any of my PRs, because I have loads of agents run in parallel and then submit PRs, And then what they are supposed to do is basically make these code reviews that we're doing here on the left. All of this happens automatically in my dev flow, right? So they basically will code review their work automatically, just as we're doing right now, right? And then at the end of every night, what happens is if any of those PRs are behind main. So basically, if any of them are like, let's say I merged in 3 PRs, but by the end of the day, I still have like 5 PRs open and they're all behind, right? That one automation will go through and basically pull them all up to date. And then it will leave a comment saying pulled up to date. And if there's any merge conflicts, if it has a high enough confidence, it will go ahead and resolve them. If it doesn't, it will alert me inside of Slack. Okay, so a couple of things like that, very handy to go ahead and do. There's also a very, very powerful one called Code Quality Guard that I've set up. And there's actually another one that I've done as well, which I did last night, which was around basically at the end of a day, if I've got tons of stuff going on and I've got agents working left, right, center on different, I use Linear to manage tickets. I don't know sometimes at the end of a day what I've done. Like honestly, there's so much has happened that basically I can lose track of what tickets went in, what went out. I'm just mainly focused on checking quality of different tasks and then testing them out. Okay. So at the end of the day, what it'll do is it'll do a diff and it'll check all the tickets that move state. And then it will basically ping me in Slack, basically like a stand down message, which says what was done. So all of these things are things which if you've got a team, you'll know that these are things that you have to do if you're leading a team or whatnot. And now you can have AI effectively do these things on automation every single day without fail. Codex is a lot cheaper than Claude in that respect to do that at the moment. Okay, so this is good. We can actually retire this ticket. Oh, this chat, sorry, I keep saying ticket. So over here, we've got the AI Gateway set up. We can go ahead and archive that one. It's done. Then we go to bubble chat. Now this is the main one. So this is the huge one that we haven't basically committed in yet. So let's go ahead and pull this open. And this right here, how do I close this one? This is remove. Okay. So split agent chat into siblings, and then we can go ahead and actually start testing this out. So, and I want to show you as well what's happening on the back end now. So as we built everything, if we go to Convex, we'll add aggregate in later. But as we go to Convex, firstly, this numbers was part of the beginner template, so we can actually get rid of that table. So over here, then what I also want to do is seeding data. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do a seed of data in a separate chat. So Command B over here, before I show something. So I'm going to say, I need you to effectively seed tons of data inside the app. So we basically want to create a seed script that allows me to go ahead and seed data. And I also should be able to safely remove all of that seeded data. So make sure the IDs are identifiable. And then there's another function that we can run that will remove the seeded data if I need to clean everything up. When we do this, for example, for the images, include a couple of images from Unsplash, upload them to Convex, and basically have a couple of comments, example likes, and so forth. So we can demonstrate the entire app in its full glory. Right? So in this case, we can go ahead and do that. We can spin that one off. So while that's happening, now we can see over here, this one's done. And you see a ton of code review is done. Now comment also extracts. And basically, these are very, very simple things. All these are doing is refactoring, right? So in this case, like before and after, you can see that we've reduced a lot of the code in many ways. This one went up by 2 lines of code, but majority of the time, it pretty much drastically drops down. Now, I'll give it a quick review. We're happy with this. Again, I would really dive into this if I'm honest, but once we're done with that, let's go ahead and try something out. So for example, if I said in hello world, go ahead and do, does Clerk automatically do parity pricing? I don't know, actually. It's a very good question. Let's do post, and you can see that post, right? If I hit like, you can see there's a second delay when I click like. So we're gonna fix that later on, right? And also you can see how it only modifies the time ago at the moment when the state changes or a re-render happens. So you could leave it on that, or you can use a relative, component here like time ago. But if I was to comment now, you can see it takes me into a comment thread, and I can type in hi, or this is cool. And also one thing I noticed is my image isn't getting pulled in. We don't have a nested view, right? So it's kind of confusing to see. So a couple of things that I would do now is I'll start note taking. All right, I need to basically add in a nested thing here. And again, what am I doing? I'm building product. I'm not worrying so much about in every little kind of increment on the screen. But again, bookmarks broke. That's a bug. So here we can basically go to bookmarks. I can copy this and I can say fix this bug effectively, right? But what I'm going to do differently about the fixing the bug one is I'm going to go ahead, push it in. So copy that in. I'm going to do a work tree for that. Work tree is different because now it's going to spin up a work tree off of main. Okay. But before we even do that, I actually need to do one thing. I need to actually finish the first one because we've got so many changes here. It will spin up a work tree off of an old main that we don't actually want to do. Okay. So right now it's given us a few follow-ups. Known follow list followings to using MVP fan in, needs per author merge or feedback fan out table. Let's see. So delete post doesn't cascade. So we can say fix or then submit a PR, right? And this isn't actually connected to a GitHub repo at the moment. So let's see what it does and see if it can figure that one out on its own. But if we go down here, go to the error type, we could do this locally. I mean, we might as well do it locally because it's actually breaking the app. So we got three chats running right now. And you can also pin if you find it helpful. So I'm going to pin the main one. And these ones are considered smaller. Okay. And again, actually what I did silly here was I used Opus 4.7 extra high. We should have probably just used GPT 5.5 medium, right? There was no real benefit to having Opus 4.7 do a task like that, right? You can even use something simpler, to be honest with you. Okay. Now, going over here, we see users. It lazy created my user, right? The avatar URL, you see how that never got set. So we have to make sure that that's kind of followed through nicely. The posts got created. You see bookmarks count and so forth. Now over here in functions, look at this. This is where it gets really powerful. All right, so all of the mutations and queries, like the add comment, delete comment list for post, these are all effectively cloud functions. Okay, so like we added a comment a second ago. So now it will go ahead and pull up the function calls, and you can also see the logs for that as well. Right, so if we click on view all logs, this would have been for previously. So one second, I noticed that I can't do back on Convex's dashboard anymore. But if you go into all the logs, you can actually see, look, you can see trending, Sunny deployed functions, right? Get post, toggle bookmark, and so forth. Right, so each one is effectively a cloud function that gets invoked. If we go to files, we can see we've got an image as well. So in this case, we've got the image over here. I'm not going to get into how you can compress and, do all of that stuff because that's a whole other topic. But the main really cool one as well is here in health. So in health, we can see all of the things that actually happen, right? So get by username, list numbers. And what I want you to pay attention to is here, the cache hit rate. So notice how these are caching. They're really efficient. These, however, are not caching, right? So sometimes you ideally want to have cache hits because it's way cheaper, right? So these are things to all factor into consideration when you build an app, right? So over here, if we start seeing tons of these which are not being cached, we're naturally going to be paying more because those are not caching every time. They're not hitting cached values. They're going ahead and computing every single time. Okay. So why the error happen 7 component, which is okay. And you can see that the fix, create a thin wrapper client that owns the API reference, then have a server page, render it. Okay. And then that's actually much better. Yeah. And this is another rule that I want you to kind of stick with. At the page level, you always want to ideally remain a server component because of, server components have the benefits in many ways. SEO, they're faster, they can get pre-rendered and a bunch of stuff. And then at the granular component level, should you be switching things to client components and so forth, okay? So all of these things will tend to make a big difference, right? Everyone's pretty locked in right now. Let me know what's been your favorite part so far, right? Let me know if what's been a new kind of aha moment and so forth. Now, that's pretty cool. So in this case, if we test this out and we go ahead and do try again, let's go ahead and see. Now we can see the bookmarks. So it fixed that one for us, right? We click on home, we can see this, we go to bookmarks, there we go. And also in that loading state there, see how it had that loading state, right? We can probably cache things like this. So we can probably have cache values here. So we can go ahead and, configure this afterwards. Now Bubble Agent, we need to go ahead and, unlock. So see Bubble Pro, we can go ahead and do that as well. And then pricing as well. That's just the same as us, right? So let's go ahead and unlock Bubble Pro. So I'm going to click on upgrade, start 7-day free trial, click on pay with test card. And you see I'm in the 7-day free trial, boom. And I actually get an email and everything, by the way. So I'm done now. I'm on Bubble Pro. This didn't re-render, so we need to fix that. There's a way that you can do that. You should be using the show component instead, and then it would have re-rendered straight away. Or actually, this is not even being wrapped. That's the problem in the first place, right? If we click on Bubble Agent here, you see, how can I help you today? If I just type in hello, click on send. Let's see, do we have it? Oh, okay, missing AI Gateway API key. So we didn't actually get that set up. So we need to go ahead and do that one first. So environment.local. And before I show that on the screen, I'm going to make sure that it hasn't got a key inside there. So I'm going to show you something here, which is okay to show you. I'm going to invalidate the key anyway. So you can see in my environment.local file, I've got a bunch of stuff. And then, one of them is the Vercel AI Gateway API key. So I'm going to go over to Vercel now, over here, and I'm going to generate a key. So just do credit. So this one, not this one. Let's go to our projects, and we've got Bubble Social App, and then create key. So I'm going to obviously hide my page when I do this. So create key, I'm going to call this one YouTube, and I'm going to create an API key. And now on my screen, I have an API key, right? So I've saved the key, I've gone back over, I've pasted in that key. And now one more step that I need to do is I need to run npx convex environment set. So I'll show you this in action. So over on my screen now, if I go ahead and do, for example, let's close this out. If I do Command J, and again, you can do this here, or you can do this in the other terminal if you want. But if I do npx convex environment set, this is now going to set it. I've set it in the environment.local file, so my Next.js app uses it. But I also now need to push it to my convex environment variables. Now, if you don't know about what I'm talking about there, if we go back to here, you have environment variables which are specific for your cloud functions. Clerk secret key, for example, clerk JWT Assure. These are all going to be only accessible server side on your cloud functions. Okay. So now we need to also set the API AI Gateway key. Now I'm going to paste in. I'm going to paste in the value that I need to do. So over here, I'm going to paste in the API key that I had previously. So I've copied that in. And now if I go back, I just want to make sure it's not shown anywhere. So now that's done. And you guys can see here, we have it. So it's set. And now if I go over to our app, let's see if it works. So go over to our local host. Okay, so if I go to Bubble Pro, let's sign in. I think I'm on a different profile here. Oh, I love that. Caden says, or Coden says, my favorite part is always, as always, is you simply explaining what you think, like you just did with the caching. Perhaps we can cache this, the analyzing and questioning what can improve. I appreciate that, dude. It really is really nice, because those are things which I feel like are the most actual valuable stuff. So I'm glad it gets across nicely. So in this case, let me go ahead and just do hello, and let's see if it works now. So we should get a response back now. And we can make this stream, by the way. So once it comes back, hopefully there's no error here, but this is already kind of slow. So let's see what actually happened here. So interestingly enough, yeah, that's not right. Should never take that long. Okay, so it says it replied, but it did not reply quickly. So if we go to our logs, let's have a look. So it said get viewer, So this was all happening on the client side. So how are you? I just want to check something. I'm doing great. Okay, so it did. Maybe it was the first time it was loading. It took a bit of time, but it's worth checking. Oh, there's a glitch there, right? Hello, how are you? So it's adding each one as a new chat. That's not ideal, right? So these are all things which we need to fix. So here, but again, I'm falling into a bad habit now. So what I want to do, step one, let's go back to our Bubble app. And then you see, where is this? What shipped in this run? All 3 follow-ups and PR. So they actually created a PR, what's it called? A GitHub for us. And one thing I like is that you have this PR flow inside a cursor. So you can see that we've got all of our 90 changes, which is huge, in one commit. Terrible, don't do that. And then you can see here, we have all of our differences and changes, create a private repo, remove the stray index AI SDK file. You're all set. And we just want to make sure that obviously we did not render an environment.local file. So obviously you just want to check through that, make sure that that's not in there. And in this case, you can have your CI checks, review, comments, and so forth. But in this case, I'm happy with this. Let's just say I did a full review. I'm going to squash and merge. Okay. So this is going to be squashed and merged now. And now, just like that, boom, we're merged. Okay. So I can now close this one. And basically, I'm going to assume that this one is now done. So it says we'll resume in the background. Okay. You can safely merge. Cool. So this is good now. So imagine like I was finished with this. Oh, no. Undo all. I didn't mean to undo that last one. Yeah. Okay. So bubble app feature. This one. Just review the PR above. Okay. So we did do this one. I mean, I just closed one of them, but it's fine. All right. Data seeding is the final one that I wanted. So over here, we have a local, and you see how it's feature bubble Twitter clone, right? So it's on a separate branch here. So let's review what I did. It added in a seed script, and then you can see it just simply went ahead. And where is the actual work for this? I think it actually just merged in by accident. So let's just do code review. Because this is definitely not enough of what the stuff is. Maybe it just rendered in the other stuff. Created similar seed. So let's do Convex code review. Let's just double check because I have a feeling it's pulled in the other stuff. But the typical flow is when you're working with tons of agents at once is you want to go ahead and actually have agent carry out work on a work tree or isolated cloud instance and then submit a PR, right? So that's kind of the flow that you want. Okay. Now, if I was to create a new branch, notice how over here, if we go ahead and do, for example, main, we should have, we haven't set up the cloud instance. So once you do this, you can actually go ahead and have a cloud, everything set up. So in this case, I've already, I'm not going to set this up today, but you can feel free to do this and then you get access to cloud agents for this project. Okay. Okay. So let's go back. Now let's fix a few things. So over here, and you see how this is on feature bubbles. We want to actually be on main. And then we can do new work tree. When I reply in the chat, currently it creates a new chat every single time. This is wrong. We should be having chats contain previous messages and then be passing that in as the conversation carries on. So it's a real chat with the AI with the history saved and passed forward in the messages. When I reply in the chat on /agent, right, there we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and say that. And you can actually plan the idea first. So ideally, you always want to start in plan. It's going to be much more better in terms of efficiency instead of burning through tokens. And then here, you can see that this one is spun off 3 separate agents, right? So to go ahead and code review, 3 reviews are running in parallel. I'll wait for them to come back and synthesize the findings, okay? And then here we can click into them. We can have a look at what each one's doing. And you can set like kind of rules up. In this case, each one was Opus 4.7. It could be expensive. Really depends on what your budget allows for. Okay. So Benzito goes, try ask fix no work in this bubble agent. How much large? Not sure what you mean, dude. But Peter says, for me, it's always the thought process which I admire, which is difficult to replicate when you want to build it on your own. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate that. Because yeah, I try my best to explain kind of as we build it out, the thinking behind it. So that way you can kind of do it on your own. Otherwise, if it's a perfect tutorial every time, it's not going to be realistic, right? Now, Bubble Pro over here, this one, what I do now is I basically will screenshot and I'll basically just kind of start tacking on features now. So I'll be like, over this one, I want to say this, when I'm actually a pro, still renders on the page. So this should be not showing if I'm a Bubble Pro member already. And you can see now, and these features are very simple, so I don't need that. I'm just going to do GPT-5. I mean, you could even do a sonnet really here and it will do the job. And again, you could plan it. I'm going to be lazy here and just execute that one. right? And now you can see, look, I've got different chats running in the back, right? Now, what I'd recommend is right now, I don't actually have the audio coming through here, but if I did, let me just go ahead and change this one now so it comes through. So if I do, I think it's going to be this one. Okay, so you guys can still hear me, I believe. But if I go to the cursor side of things, and I kind of want to demonstrate something, I actually enable a sound, so completion sound. And the reason why is because you'll be surprised. It can actually get kind of like, when you got loads of things going on, that little sound can just notify me, okay, it's finished some work. I should go check it. Otherwise, sometimes it could be sitting there for ages and you've expected it to finish and it just kind of waited for you to say, you should approve or carry on. So that gets a bit annoying sometimes. Now, let's see quickly here. So I'm actually a pro. So we've got the pro upgrade working, the chat fix in action, and then we've got the seed script being reviewed. And again, this is overkill in my opinion. I don't think we needed to do this for the seeding script. Yeah, it's a bit too much to be honest. But in this case, we do the seed demo. So convex seed.ts. So what I like to do is have, like I said, the cursor. There you go. You see that sound that just went off? And now you can see there's a little yellow dot. We click that and you can see I got questions to answer. So if I didn't have that little, it wouldn't have told, like I would have lost that and I would have basically been waiting, coming back and it's not done the work and I could have been ahead. Where should chat persistence live? Both options fix the new chat reply bug and pass full history to the AI. So client side, server side, or hybrid. So, let's see. So, okay, so sometimes if you're not sure between the client only sends message, the next just loads the thread from Convex, saves the user's history, streams, and saves the user's system message, or saving both use stream text server side unfinished, save the system reply, so disconnected client can't lose the assistance turn. So we can actually ask it what's the best approach, and you get feedback on it, right? Best AI editor for free. I'm not sure what you mean. So once it's fixed right rails, so Bubble Pro is no longer hard coded. It now has feature bubble agent. Nice, cool. So now if we go ahead and see, it's not merged in. So you see how it's on a work tree. So it's on a work tree, but this is cool, by the way. And I think the others, Codex and Claude Code, need to learn from this. But if I'm in a work tree right now, sometimes I don't want to have to create PR, commit. I just want to quickly shift it to my local, right? So in this case, if I go here and I click move to local changes can, we can either commit or stash, but because I actually have a dirty branch. So if I go here, if I go over here, you can see I've got loads of things going on right now. I've got 3 repos open. Let's go ahead and show you. I've got my main. Well, it actually doesn't show the main here, but these are all different branches that are basically open right now. So it can get confusing, but basically if you click on each one, it shows you the changes in each, right? The difference is the main isn't showing right now, which is kind of annoying. But either way, we can, in this case, we should do it the proper way. We can say create a PR, commit and create a PR. So let's go ahead and call that one up, kind of open the sidebar, commit and create PR. And then let's do this one. Actually, I should show you that way because that's what I'd actually be doing. Right? When I hit create new chat every time, fix client side, minimal surface area, concrete edit. We didn't want to do a client side one. We wanted to do, fix it server side. Right now, client side is very lazy, I believe. Is this the best way? It's not the best way. I mean, I'm being lazy here, by the way, asking it. But if we think about it, client side could load the chat and then basically handle it client side. So it kind of actually is maybe the better approach. But server side is more robust, really. Because every time you're just sending a message back and let the server handle it. So it depends on how you want to do it. So comment says Copilot is up in the game and also creating an app UI like Claude Code. They're all going to be moving in this direction, in this kind of direction, to be fair. Data seeding. This one is finally come back and now it's reviewing all of these findings. That was overkill. To be honest with you, this one was too much for a small task. There was no need to spend 194k tokens on that. So I wouldn't do that again, to be honest, right? This one, waiting 3 minutes. Wait, let's just say continue. And sometimes I just force it. So even this one, testing gaps, look at this. So it found, what it tends to do with the code review, by the way, is it finds things, and then you can see like reseed, duplicates, posts, and comments, confidence 100. So cleanup leaves orphan feed items. So this is actually a good find. Actually, to be fair, it actually did find some very good things, right? So it does come in pretty handy, to be fair. Over here now, so editing the agent. Okay, let's go back over here, and I want to show you guys this again. So if we need to merge it in. So plan updated to new server. So the only architecture cleanup option is adopting Convex Dev Agent, which is purpose built exactly for this. Threads, messages, streaming, vector, recall, burst, bigger refactor. Oh, that's cool. Convex Dev Agent. Let's have a look. So we've got Convex Agent component. That's very nice. Now agents provided. That's very cool. Threads, persist messages, conversation context. Okay, so you could actually do. This is new. I have not seen this. Oh, 2 months ago. I mean, okay, so this is new. This is the first time I've seen it. Convex Agent. Okay, we could do this. Let's do it. That's fun, right? That's something which I've never done before, and I feel like we could do that. So let's do Convex Dev Agent. Let's do the for Convex Dev Agent, yeah. And then over here, we go ahead, committed and pushed, created draft PR. And it has a habit of doing this sometimes, where it creates draft PRs, to be honest. But in this case, you can mark it as ready when you're happy with it. Do a little review of it. And again, this one is interesting, actually. So it's got the changes 90. Okay, so what happened here was 2 different trees basically separated. And that's kind of frustrating, actually. So this is why you really don't want to work on a huge task locally like this, because you're going to have a clash like this. Now, over here, if we could do resolve merge conflicts, one, if you just click it, it tells the AI to do it for you. I actually have, like I said before, a routine and automation, which every day will go through my code base and check itself to be like, okay, there are some merge conflicts, resolve it, and so forth. And that kind of helps out a ton. So you can feel free to do that yourself as well. But in this case, just click in resolve will handle it pretty much most of the time. I fetch the latest origin main, inspect the conflict set, keep the unrelated convex seed, change out of the resolution. And you see it's got the seed data inside of there now as well. So these things can all be pretty bad. So the real is right, my code is missing critical integrations, let me verify the rest of what they cited. And typically this is what can happen because we actually added in so much when we did the refactor that these kind of things can be a problem. So you kind of want to have things run separately. By the way, Context 7 is a very, very good plugin. It's basically it's a cool plugin which can just go ahead and grab the latest documentation, right? Moving persistence and history loading in API is a standard production pattern. It's how the Vercel AI Gateway and Convex structure limits every class of bug the current code is exposed to. Cool, I'm gonna trust it and just build it, okay? Now over here, staging markers. Let's see, conflict markers are gone and resolve rail keeps pro members hiding behavior. I'm staging resolve file. This one is super simple, to be fair, should have been pretty quick. And it also means that it branched off probably a very, very old bit of code. So verify pull request merge state. Conflict resolution push. I notice GitHub is reporting the PR is not draft, so I'm converting it back to draft to preserve your original PR requirement. So again, this was actually, I never asked for it to be in draft mode. So I actually had to I noticed it done this quite a lot and I found it very annoying. But yeah, I kind of tell it, remember not to do this. And Cursor, Claude, and Codex all have an element of memory now as well. So you can actually ask them to remember things. So this one surprisingly has so many changes. Why is this? Let me go back to copy URL. Let's have a look. So let's check out this pull request. File changes 1. So again, yeah, I guess that's a bug on their side because this is not 90 changes. It's 1. That's why I was thinking it's crazy. Otherwise I would be a bit more hesitant. So here you can see, look, hide pros, upsell, subscribe users, cool. Confirm the merge. Let that do its thing, delete the branch. And you can get your agent to do that as well, but I'm gonna go ahead and cancel that, cool. And then we can close this one, right? That's done. Let's do data seeding. Let's have a look. Verdict and suggested ordering, code review. And let's see. So, not ready. Recommended fix order. Want me to apply the fixes. So here we can just say fix all. So fix all and submit PR in ready to review state. Okay, and then the chat history, let's see. Over here, this one is now building. So, well, good luck, man. If you're going, so not currently, I'm starting my own startup online classes. Nice. And the website. Oh, nice. Cool. That's pretty cool. I need to check the working state, then we can look at. Let's see. And what I'd recommend here is, because we had a lot of conflict there, make sure you have branched off of main, off latest main. So sometimes I like to get involved here, kind of push, like kind of a force a push there to sort of see if it's up to scratch with the latest stuff. This one is going to be refactoring to add in the Convex Dev agent. This one is going to be for data seeding, and I want to add in one more, which is going to be branched off of main. It's going to be its own work tree, and I'm going to say add in, scan the code base for opportunities where we can add in the Convex Aggregate function, because right now we don't have optimistic UI updates for when we press heart on a post or when we comment, I believe. It's currently, there's a slight delay, but aggregate could be a lot better for this. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shift to plan mode, go over to Convex Aggregate. Now I talked about this earlier, but basically this is really handy for when you've got like denormalized sums. So what does that mean? Effectively, like if you've got 10 posts to render and they all have like a ton of comments and likes per post, we don't want to have to recompute that every time, or reattach that subscription every single time a single post changes. Like it could be one post at the bottom, but now you've recomputed the entire subscription. At one user, that's not a problem, but if you've got 1,000 users, that's going to be a big issue. So you can basically use something like an aggregate, which basically is way more efficient, right? You can check it out here for yourself what it does, but that's what it's solving, right? So what I like to do is copy this out, come over here, paste it in over here, and then pop it in plan mode and send it. Okay. Okay, so now let that do its thing. And then we have the 3 agents running. And this is typically my workflow. So most of the time when I'm working now, you can see the coding has changed a lot. So we're no longer kind of, running into every single bit of code and writing manually. Quite often now, this is the reality of it. More so, I'm looking at sort of how to code review, how to keep code quality high. And again, like on a live stream, I can only dive into so much individually and be like, okay, I'm going to do this exact bit. I'm going to do this exact bit. But like my main kind of teaching moment here would be the plugins make a huge difference, and the way in which we did stuff. And by the way, you see this? This is what you want to get to right now. So you see how it explores the code base with Composer 2? That is really, really nice. And that happens mostly in plan mode only, right? So that's going to save you a ton of tokens, because Composer 2 is blazing fast. And it just, like, for example, if we go here, this checked the entire code base and quickly got an understanding. This same one over here. And then that basically saves you from using more expensive models, like, for example, GPT-5.5, okay? So in the meantime, let me know any features you want me adding in. Now over here as well, if I go to Command J, and where is my app actually running? Let's have a look. That's a good point. So if I go type in Command J over here, the app is not running here. So it's running somewhere on the terminal. Where is that terminal? Firstly, we have a question here. So Convex aggregate function. The work tree does not contain social media app code yet. How should I proceed with the aggregate plan? So why is it on this one? I use a different work tree, create a plan. So wait, create work tree off of main. pull latest main and pop it in here. Weird. I'm in a weird like edge case right now where it's kind of not pulling in things up to date, which is not right. Creating a fresh work tree and pulling main changes. So I need to switch. Yep. I can say switch. And somewhere this is running. So what I like to do when I can't tell where it's running, I will pretty much kill it. So in this case, I'm on, you see, I can see I'm on the fixed see data integrity and feed fan out. But the problem is if I change now, it's going to go ahead and remove that. So we can do this in two ways. If I go ahead and show you, if we do git switch main, it switches the work tree. So you see I'm switched to main now. So you can see I'm on this work tree. And effectively what we have here, guys, is 5 different branches, right? Some of them are probably owed. So in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to close the other repos. But each one is like a git branch local on your machine that your each individual agents are working on, right? So in this case, if I do git pull, I can see I can, okay, there's no remote tracking information. Git pull remote. Interesting. So git pull remote branch. Oh, because it never actually connected the, damn it. So when it created the GitHub repo, it never actually created the link to it. Oh no, that's not good. Okay, so if I go to Bubble Social App, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. So I've basically gone to the repo right now. I've copied the URL, and then I come back over here. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this, and I'll show you my lazy way of doing it. I will paste it in over here. I do switch to agent mode, and I will say, I will paste in, I will paste in the following link, my GitHub link, and I'll say link the remote branch. So my pools work, right? Again, I just do this now. I'll be honest, yes, it is a much more lazy approach, but it just saves a faff. When it comes to, especially Git flow, it's a lot easier just doing this, right? So now this is going to configure it. Probably why it was happening in the first place. So that's why these were breaking. That's why they're all acting a bit weird, right? In this case, main does not have a social app. See, that's interesting. Key file schema and likes comments. Convex Aggregates will be improved. Okay, so optimistic updates for poke be replyable, but there's no. Okay, we have to add UI optimistic updates itself. Aggregate is best as a backend count indexing layer. And for backend count back tables with drift matters most. Post likes, comments as well. Keep existing denormalized fields during rollout. And comments to after backfill. And let's just say the option link is fixed. Okay, so there it's done now. We fixed the link. And let's just get some of these merged in, because honestly, it's kind of getting a bit crazy at the moment. There's a merge PR for the original C work. I'll branch with main, apply the fix, and open a new PR. So this one's happening over here. This one, make sure you have branched up latest main, all 3 done. This one was the Convex Dev Agent. Nice. And now this one, we're going to do a commit and create PR. We have linked the remote branch of also my pools work. Yeah, we've done that already. We can archive this. And we have, okay, so recommended plan. Yes, go. So we can say yes, go. Data seeding, there's a merged off the original C, our branch of main. Okay, so now over here, going back to things, if we type in, let's try to do search. So type a query and hit search. So search bubble, hello. Okay, nice. We type in ABC. There we go, nice. So we have our search to a degree working, right? Go back to bubble, we can click through. I can click on the user itself. So I clicked on the user there, or I can click on the profile, this. Nested UI, we also need to do. Now back over here. And you see that little noise alerted me that this was finished. So Works for 49 seconds, creating PR. So let's look at the PR. So fix agents, chat, that's not the one. Then here we have the diff. So changes 3, we can have a look now. So we can see, okay, gateway model. We don't actually have a gateway model selected. So right now it's defaulting to GPT-4o mini. Probably not the best choice. Instead, we actually want to probably do something like 5.0 chat route. Let's see, where is it? Mini. So we can actually check where that is over here, gateway. So I also want to check. So what's the helper function? I think it was Anthropic. So, okay, so we've got these over here. I want to do open AI. So GPT-4o. Let's do GPT 5.4. 5.4 mini, I guess. Mini is okay. So I want that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to undo this. Oops. Go back to model. Come back over here. And I'm going to change this one to this. Oops. What was it? 5. I've got a little copy paste board I can use. Okay. So now if we go back up, I changed it to 5.4 mini, hit save. And we have a little diff now. So see this diff here? I can actually go ahead and I change that right now. So I can just say commit, create PR, or we can just say commit and push. It would be cool if they just added in like a simple Git flow, so it doesn't actually have to call the agent every time. Probably make life a little easier. Because right now, if I was to do my normal Git push and everything, it's just not super neat. Like everything is relying on AI, which is kind of, it's okay, but it's not the super cleanest way to do it. And you see here, like I changed it and it didn't pop up. So I guess we have to click it again and then click on the pull request one more time. And there you go. Now it came in. So 5.4 mini, we mark it as ready. Let's go ahead and merge that in. Now squash and merge. And over here, I still don't know where the app is running. So in this case, I'm going to do git, to git status. Let me just check something for Convex seed. Let's get that one down and in. So squash and merge. This one should have merged in. So that's interesting. We'll just say merge. Command B. Let's have a look at the data seeding. This one's taking way too long, to be honest, to get done. So I'm going to stop this one. I'm just going to make it super quick and just say, finish this quickly because this just needs to get done. Plan next move. The sonnet should be quick. To be honest, I could just use composer to blaze through that one. In fact, you know what? Let's do that. Let's do sonnet, composer, sorry, and say finish quickly. I don't know if we can actually change model like that actually mid-flow. In fact, you know what? This entire one's taking too long, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just going to do I'm going to get rid of these changes and I'm going to do another ticket for that. Okay, so this one is merge, retry merge. What's happening here? Merge already in progress. Interesting. So Convex aggregate. So things got actually quite messed up when we didn't connect everything correctly. Aggregate main. What is aggregate main? Oh, that's the workspace. Okay. Repo environment. And you can see this is actually, one is in cloud. Why has it done it in two separate? Oh, this is from our Git. I see. Okay. Watching from Nairobi. What's up? Quick little water break. Okay, so let that resolve. Merge succeeded. Local was good. Okay. Squash removed. Okay. Now we can do get pull. Get pull. Pull that in, and we have the latest bubble social. Okay, agent chat. Now, this is one thing that I don't fully like yet about the new app is that this is merged in so we can exit this one. And I think Codex does it a little bit cleaner here where it says like it's wrapped up and it's finished on a certain job. Like it will explain it clearer. But in this case, I don't know where that is running. So for example, I know that an app is running because obviously we have it running over here, but I don't know actually where that is, that's actually happening. So in this case, I'm going to kill 3000 and run it again. So in this case, I can do the following. And I actually do a few little tricks here. So I've got Command K in the editor, and I used to do basically kill port 3000, for example, and then it'll pop up. And that was Command K, by the way. And I can go ahead and just run that. And now I can do pm dev, and I can run it here. So at least that way I can see what is happening every time. Okay, because in my opinion, you need to have a running terminal that you can refer to when you're working on this stuff. So like this, in my opinion, would be one. And I typically with multiple screens, I would have one screen up with like a terminal that's just running so I can just see it constantly what's happening with that terminal, right? And you need to be able to see your terminal. Otherwise, honestly, you're just blindly coding, especially with Convex backend and what's pushing and what's not. Okay, so now let's check the bubble agent now. So in this case, if I type in, hey there, let's see. So, hey, what's up? We can say, what did I just say? And now we can check if I said, hey, what's up? What was my first message to you? Okay, there you go. So that's perfect. That's great. And in this case, these are old chats. So I'm assuming these are not going to have the correct shape. So get rid of those. But if I click on an old chat, okay, so that's interesting. So if I type in hi, so now, see that when I click on an old chat, it's not loading any of the state. So we need to fix that. So we're going to do local home. This is not home, no. We're going to do bubble social, main, local compose to. So this one, I'm not going to make the mistake. I'm going to do this one. We can do 5.5 for this. When I click on a agent chat, it currently doesn't load the previous messages into the chat window. So let's keep that running off. And that was local. So really, okay, we're just going to fix that locally for now. This one, in the meantime, has added a bunch of stuff. Let's go ahead and do commit and create PR. And this would have been optimistic updates, post likes, also the aggregate functions. And you see this like AI SDK warning. So feature temperature is not supported in reasoning models. So in this case, we can actually pass in this as well. And I would also pass that through and just steer it. So we call it, when you interrupt an agent with some instructions, we call it steering, because you're effectively steering it in its path to get to the right place. So it's better sometimes to steer it before like letting it go on a tangent doing something else. I'll stage on new file for this work. Okay. And this is a problem now because I have both working local, I believe. So I'll stage on new files. Okay, no, it hasn't done that. It's fine. Yeah. So done. Draft PR. And let's have a look. So markers ready. Command B. Let's have a look. So in this case, as never. Why has it done that? So this is bad. So these two, we can comment saying never have as never. Any or unknown. Because this is basically, these are bad castings. You should never ever do that, right? You never ever have as never. Command B over here. Let's have a look. Fix both issues. Parse chat is now hydrate only. After get those loading, click it, just show populate chat window. Remove temperature. Okay, cool. So now, in this case, we're local here. So this one should have actually made the change right now. So if we click on this, hey, what's up? And then that. In that loading state, you can address these loading states on your own. And also notice how this isn't changing the URL. So this is all happening client side. So you could also do it like change that as well if you wanted to. Again, we got a little issue. What's this one? So let's have a look. So here, I also noticed that this is client side changing. It would be better if we had the route change. So if it was /agent/ maybe the chat ID that we were in, and then server render the messages initially. So right now, you notice how the URL doesn't change. So that's all client side. And we ideally don't always want that kind of interaction. Even the search you can change, you can add all these kind of things in yourself, right? We're gonna try the at bubble in a second as well. So if I type in at hello, let's just type in at bubble, what has been said so far? Reply. So now I've just done this, right? Now in the back, I'm gonna try and showcase something. So this should be very, very cool if this works, right? So we should see, hopefully, if it worked well. All right, let's see. So pull open, logs, reply in thread, AI SDK warning. So you can see system messages in the prompt can be spurious because it may have prompt injection attacks. Use a system message. Okay, so we should obviously fix that. But in this case, let's see. Post bubble reply. This was us. But it didn't actually post in this, which is interesting. So, and let's see what it came up with. This is the same issue as before. Okay, so we need to fix the app issue. And also you can upgrade the UI as well after that, which might be nice. So the console error is from dependency. Obviously it's changing locally now. So I found the current app uses Clerk server auth plus a Convex HTTP client. We can reuse that pattern for route-based initial data. The update is add agent plus the selected threads. Okay. So next up we have Convex aggregate function. So this one is going to be for the aggregate. Now remove the as never use and replace it with proper query component typing. Yep. So you see, like those are the kind of quick checks that I'd recommend you do. Even here, I would let it infer type. And we're going to leave it for now, but I would let it infer the type typically, instead of like forcing it to say this is what your type is. Even here, optimistic post, like these, for example. So like what I would do is I would say, for example, this. Can we not infer the type of post from the Convex backend instead of manually typing? So these sort of things is what I would look out for, because AI has a way of doing it. Now, if you think about it, the benefit of having something like Convex is whenever you have a change in the database, new type definitions get added. So this would break. Well, technically your code should break. Now, when you have things like this, think about it. I changed the backend. This will never change. So you see, there's now a drift. We call it a drift in the shape in the database and the types, and it breaks the entire benefit. So you kind of want to never do that. So I replaced the duplicate shapes in both actions, and also we need the seed functions again. So if I do this, I'm going to go ahead and do bubble social, and let's go ahead and do a new work tree. I'm going to make composer 2. Let's see how good this will do it. I'm going to say we need to be able to seed data. So I want you to create a Convex seed script that can run. It should be able to seed in a bunch of data, including sample likes, comments, threads, and also perhaps a couple of images as well from Unsplash. And then we need to go ahead and also have the opposite function that we can call, which removes the seeded data. Spin that up in a work tree. Okay. So you created a work tree. There we go. All right. Now over here, let's see. Fixed and removed as yep, fixed and pushed. Replaced handwritten optimistic code, updated both. So you can see, like, these are things that I would be looking for, right? With a code base. And like even here, this is better. Yeah. So type optimistic post is, for example, the page that comes back for you, right? As type of post. So even here, they're doing as type of query value and so forth. So let Convex infer the types. So all of these habits that I'm doing right here, I would actually add these into a Claude .md or agents.md file as my sort of requirements or as my sort of practice. I'd also say add it to your memory. So I'd add it in two places. I'd add it to memory, and I'd also add it to the what's it called? The agent files. Because that is a bad pattern. You see how it's basically breaking a lot of type definitions, and you would never know, right? So yes, you might get a working app, but that's not a good app. Like, that's not good code. You shouldn't have that. And you see, I'm less cared about checking individual specific things. But even here, you'll see, like for example, in post comment, the comment node. See, why are all of these, for example, manually typed? These are wrong. So I want to say here, everywhere where you've added in types manually, change it to infer from the Convex database. We should not be manually typing. Oops, that's oh damn it. So I need to copy that out, go back over here, paste it in, boom, and fix that. Right. Now you see, Composer 2 done it pretty quick. Oh, it was apparently already in there. So Convex seed clean, or seed demo data. Right, seed demo data is an action because it downloads images. Okay, so let's do that. Let's give it a try. So Command J, and actually I'm going to do it from here. So I'm going to paste this over here, pull this over to my left, and now we'll do localhost, because I want to show you in real time how this actually happens. And then inside of a second, well, actually, we're going to cut the terminal for a sec. So you notice how in package.json, we had two things running, convex dev start and next dev. So what I like to do sometimes is pm, for example, next dev, right? That starts the app. And then in another terminal, I'll pretty much have convex. So for example, pm, convex dev, right? And this one will spin up convex. So now in my left terminal, I've got the app running. In my middle terminal, I've got the server running, convex. And then in the final terminal, I can run a command like a seed. Right, so in this case, npx convex run seed demo data. And now we can see that hopefully it's written correctly, but this should start seeding in a bunch of, yeah, there you go. Look at that. Now we've got a bunch of data. So we can see our app in this kind of like full glory, right? So now we can see, okay, if I click into it, this one's got a few hearts. We can click into this one. And now, and this is nice, right? So if we click on, for example, here, and I go into, it's got two comments. If I click into it, now I can see like these are his two messages. If I go into the actual comments, this is much better. Like cat tax fully paid, blah, blah, blah. And if I do, for example, hi, so that's threaded nicely. Okay, so that's actually quite cool. And if I click into it, see, it takes me to this, but if I click in, it should just take me to the post. Oh, I guess I'm clicking this line right now takes us to the user. So obviously these things you can feel free to change up yourself, right? But it's kind of cool. And then we've also got sample users. So if I follow a bunch of users now, that's kind of cool. Right, so if I can now click following, I just see the people I follow. If I click on them, I can unfollow. Oh, and there's a bit of a delay there, which is not the nicest approach, and also re-renders this list. So these sort of things you can change yourself. Like look at that, following, oh, okay, unfollow, yeah. So if I want to unfollow this person, and then it says who to follow. So maybe you don't want that to happen every time. You can change that to be, instead of a subscription, which is real-time changing, you can make that just a fetch once, effectively, right? Now if we go back over here, even this, like the fact it takes quite a while to load, I'm not a huge fan of this. Like I think this should be much quicker. So we could do a caching layer here as well. But if I was to post with a picture now, let me just go ahead and click this because I'm not sure what might pop up. Let's go here and let me find a picture of me from, yeah, let's just say one of these. These are one of my thumbnails, for example. So Images must be under 10 meg. Okay, so we've actually added in a bit of a check here. So let me find the image under 10 meg. Oh, in this case, okay, I'll go some Elon one. So, okay, so I added a picture of Elon. We'll say to the moon. And then post. Cool, look at that, and it works. And you can click into it, post a reply. You can go ahead and heart them. This, again, we haven't added in the, where is it? 1B, aggregate function. So this one hasn't been merged in yet because that delay, was not optimistically updating. So with this now, we should have, yep, now it's inferring types. So you see how it no longer starts casting as types. That's much better now. Comment node, the shape is being defined, but that's not actually wrong. That's actually correct. And this is not bad. This one composer, okay. Okay, this is actually much better. I have to use, and these are the aggregate functions. So this is how those aggregate works, right? So in this case, I'm going to squash and merge this one. And I'm not sure why my squash and merge isn't working. Oh yeah, it does work, yeah. So there you go. So that's merged in now. And then we can go ahead and close that one. Now, if I go back over here, I can do git pull, and then this will pull the latest changes. And then you'll see, look at this. So it failed because, let's have a look. Cannot resolve config. Let's exit this. Let's do pmpmi, because I believe it added in the convex dev aggregate. Then we do pmpx convex dev. And now we should see aggregates get mounted. So we see the uploading functions to convex, running TypeScript, give it a sec. Convex, yeah, there you go. Installed component. And these components are aggregates. All right, so now if I go back over here, you can see that my post, and if I click it now, you see how instant that is? Boom, way better. So now we've got rid of that issue. And basically on the back end, that scales now. So whether you got a million users who basically say this post went viral and you got like 3.6 million views on that, that will now work. So if I type in hello, cool, right? The only thing is that things like this are bugs, right? And even this time ago, we can fix those ourselves, right? If you really want to. Right? But again, now it works across all of these. Okay, so next thing is the app bubble. Why is this not working? So let me go ahead and do, for example, let's just check two things. The data seeding worked. The agent chat message loading, this one worked or not? So this was local, implemented route-based chat, okay? And is this merged into main? Sometimes I find that the UIs, regardless if I use Claude Code, Codex, or Cursor, not always crystal clear on if the work tree has been merged in. So I will always ask it, is this merged into main? So you're currently on main is up to date. The agent are not committed yet. So not merged as a commit, but they've been applied locally on main. So I say commit changes. See what I mean? It's just not super clear. They're getting better, but these are things which I feel like can be improved. Okay, so far we have complete following. We have the ability to follow. We have the ability to see your following feed. We have, is everything organized in terms of, yep, so latest goes down there first. And I'm wondering, does pagination work? Are we doing paginated or not? Okay, so right now I assume it's not, but you can maybe check that afterwards. Now post, post publishing, that's very nice. And then trending, this is cool, look at this. Trending actually pulls in from the top ones that are trending. So if I go ahead and do this, see how it's also real time? That's really, really cool. So if I go ahead and make this one, for example, above 8, see that? Like how it will literally change in real time. So that's kind of cool. And again, like if you want to make this more correct and efficient, you could do, I would say you can check the effect of how this will scale just by asking it. And it will give you a bit of an insight. Maybe you add an aggregate to this part, or like you restructure it, but it's just things to consider. If I go to bookmarks here, this is very nice, very quick. And then we have our bubble agent working. The only thing that isn't working at the moment is the app bubble. So if I come in here now and I say, for example, app bubble, what am I looking at? Okay. So this should kick off a flow. And right, oh, it did. Look at this, view on. Yeah, look at that. You're looking at a cat claiming the ultimate coffee machine as her throne. Theo's just lucky tenant finding a caffeine empire. Cat's really not to take over, huh? Look, my cat has decided the new La Marcosio is hers now. I'm just paying the rent. Yo, that's so sick. And it even marks it as agent. Wow, that's cool. And basically, if I wasn't a pro member, we shouldn't be able to see that now. So if I go ahead and sign out now, so now, for example, if I try and post, I can't post, right? It prompts me to log in. This, obviously, we can fix very easily. You can still search, I believe. So if I typed in, for example, Sunny, look at that. Hey, Pop Fam. And it even found the people. So even added that in. So let's go ahead and log in. So if I try and post, let's do log in to like the team account. Rosano goes, hey, Sunny, long time no see. Been busy in enterprise development. That's cool, dude. I got to hand it to you. You really provided up-to-date coaching. It's very hard to keep updated with the latest tech while working. Dude, I massively appreciate you. And definitely, if you haven't already, please join our community, because this is where I love to keep touch points with you guys. I'd love to hear about the enterprise development. Check out our community. It's launching very, very soon, and I would love to have you in calls. Just we can talk about things like, for example, your enterprise development, your approach around it, all of that stuff. You can join the waitlist for absolutely free, and we'll launch it. And especially if you've been a part of the community before, we'll get you inside. But yeah, so good to see you. That's awesome. Some proper OGs in the house today. So in this case, like, we are logged in, and we have just, you see how it says user, right? So initially you would have an onboarding, right? So we can maybe set up an onboarding flow now. So if you weren't ever brought into the app if you're brought into the app for the first time, see how the profile is just by default at user. That's not correct, right? So we should kind of fix that right now. Commit directly on main. Let's just do that right now. And then over here, I'm gonna say, afterwards, I'm gonna do changes on main, because we're not gonna do much afterwards. We're gonna say, I want to add an onboarding flow. Currently, when a user is onboarded, everyone has at user, which is not correct, right? So typically this is wrong. We need to make the username unique. And then when the second they sign in, if they haven't already onboarded, add an onboarding flow where they enter in the mandatory details, such as their first name, their last name, and a unique username. So add in that flow. It should pop up in a really nice modal format. And then afterwards, maybe update the clerk public metadata so that they don't see the onboarding flow again in an efficient way. And quick little rule of thumb. For onboarding, you might wonder, okay, no, I can just update the database with a row which says has onboarded. That's not a good flow to do for onboarding, because every single user, every time they touch the app, will have to read that row every touch point, which is actually really bad. So what you want to do is, instead, for onboarding stuff, you want to always make it so it's attached to the JWT token, which is basically when the user logs in and they authenticate a session, you have something called the public metadata that you can attach to their token that they're given when they're authenticated. We can basically toggle state inside of that. Now, you don't want to do that for everything, but onboarding is a very good one to do, because initially it's kind of like a once in a kind of, once in their journey approach sort of situation. So initially that's off or not, it's not there. And then if it's not there, we show the onboarding flow. And then basically after that, for every time that they log in or thereafter, they've already completed the onboarding. And you can basically toggle it back to the restart onboarding if you ever need to. So it's kind of a cool way of handling that. Now, in this case, let's do plan new idea for that one. Come down here, and this has been committed on main. We can close that one now. And you can see this is now in the good flow of how we like things, right? We can git pull, and you see how that's up to date. Awesome. So this is kind of the dev flow that I would now be involved in. Rosano goes, I've been a Diamond member since 2021. 100%, dude. I remember. Now, actually, we're launching the Zero to AI community. It's going to be revolved around the entire shift, because obviously things have changed so much now that honestly we needed a new place where we can go ahead and fully give everyone our value that we're trying to teach all the time. So this is going to be a place where we can go ahead and do that. So any current members, you'll be receiving a special email when we launch with something. Don't worry, we're going to help you guys out, obviously. But it's going to be an ongoing community, just how we had it before, but more so for the AI first approach. Okay, so after we've done that, we're pretty much going to wrap up. We're going to go ahead and do a deployment, I think, to go ahead and showcase how we can get this out the door. But let me know, last kind of check-in, if you want me to add any new features to this. But one of my favorite features that we added today was really the at bubble feature. I think that one is awesome. It's like at grok. So if I type in here even at bubble, and you can even have it so if I do at, it will pop up with bubble, and then I can hit tab to basically carry on. So that would be a cool thing. At bubble, what, let's say, make of the camera is he holding? Okay. And if I do this, and you can see, look, what make of the camera is he holding? And look how quick this will come in, right? So let's see. Hopefully it doesn't like, you know, show me up right now, but what camera the make is he holding? Is it going to do it? Oh, and look at that. It didn't work. That's right. Because why didn't it work? Because I'm not a Bubble Pro member. So now if I do see Bubble Pro, I upgrade and I do pay with test card. And remember, you can customize the pricing cards. We didn't do it today, but you can do that. If I come down here now and I was to do it again, so let's say I go here. And remember, right now we haven't got CRUD buttons, but you should have, like, if I'm the owner of this, I can delete. And again, like at user, that's wrong, right? We should be able to fix that. So at bubble, what camera model is he using? If we go ahead and pop that in now, and now we can see, because he's a pro member, look at that. Hey, hide replies. But really, I mean, you could have it so if there is a reply, it just streams in. It sounds like Milo really loves the film. While he didn't mention a specific camera, many films enjoy models like the Canon AE or Nikon FM series. And then it starts saying, like, what's your favorite film camera? Because there's a system prompt in the code. So if we look at the code, we can dive into that in a minute. One second, let's just answer this one first. Where should first and last name live after onboarding? Also, Rosanna, let me know about, like, just in the chat right now, what's your experience been like with enterprise? Because I'm always curious when students move from B2C to B2B. It's a whole different game. So I'm curious to, and also I think it'd be valuable in the chat. Where should first and last name live after onboarding? Recommended stuff, first name and last name in Clerk, store display name and username in Convex. And gate with onboarding complete. I could do that one, yeah. Recommended in the spine. And then in this case, and also the avatars, I guess we can also fix avatars not showing everywhere in app. So we can go ahead and pass that into the plan. But overall, very, very close to what we initially designed for. Super slick, works on the phone as well. I mean, slight little annoying quirk here, but again, these are very, very simple things you can just do yourself and kind of change your. I think the most valuable thing I can show you now is more so going to be the what's it called? Even you can have like light boxes where you click into this. That'll be cool, but more so one second, the onboarding flow. The onboarding flow is going to be way better to showcase. Okay, so. And we didn't even use these blocks. That's fine. And a quick check on the usage, because one thing I have found as a heads up is the usage on the cursor agents, for me personally, is very high. Like, I have found that cursor agents tend to use more than Claude Code or Codex. So I'm not sure why that is in particular, but I definitely have found that it tends to go through more tokens. I was already at 23%, so I believe today we've done about 17% on the API, and that's an ultra plan. So just worth noting. Maybe it would have been similar, but I've definitely noticed that for me anyway, it seems to be more. And a mandatory first sign in board collects first name, last name, and a unique username, and fixed wide app professional clerk or yep, more Convex is owner. Okay, build, nice. We can close that out. And a quick mention while we're doing this, what we covered today mostly. So the Clerk CLI started off with this. This was really, really handy. even the clerk config, we didn't actually run this, but if you did do this, it would pull in all the environment variables from your setup. So if you did init, you would have linked the project. Clerk config will pull them in. And that's handy for many reasons, because if you think about agents, when they start in an isolated environment, don't have environment variables. And a lot of companies are realizing this. That's why they're building CLIs now. And then so that way your agent can pull the environment variables down without you having to then go ahead and say, here's the environment files every single time. Especially if you change files and environment variables, that kind of stuff. So in this case, you can go ahead and use that. It's been pretty awesome. And especially in funny that Rosanna mentioned it, because B2B or enterprise setups, things like organizations, setting them up, getting the configuration right, getting everything nitty gritty kind of, done perfectly. These things can be like quite stressful when you're already handling so much in an app. So set up CLI, it will help you out. Use it use it a lot more with your agents. It's gonna help you a ton. Rosano says, in medium, large B2B, B2C, you evaluate battle-tested solutions over cutting-edge tech. You don't just take this latest thing, you gotta go with what's the most supported solution. Dude, very, very helpful thing that you actually mentioned. And it's actually very true. Because look, put it this way, we're building these projects from scratch. So we have a big luxury of being like, okay, this one works right now, we can do it, it's fast, it's got these benefits, ABC, so forth. That isn't the case when you're thinking about something in production all the time, because it depends on what kind of business you're also building, right? If you need something which has been battle tested, then you're looking more at the things which have been like in the market for the longest time. And that is why a lot of companies go to SQL, because SQL has been battle tested for things like migrations. If you have 1 million customers over here and we need to migrate 1 million customers over here, people have done that loads of times in SQL. Same in NoSQL. But with new setups, is it been done before? Not necessarily, which means that is it dangerous to do that? And could it be business like kind of critical and cause problems? And yeah, it could. But at the same time, we never had AI before as well. So AI can also navigate these things in a way that we couldn't do before. That's why I'm pro kind of cutting edge first. But it's definitely something where if you're working for enterprise, you can't just jump in and like say, we're going to use Convex right now in this enterprise company, which is making, I don't know, a few $100,000 a month, for example. It's going to be something pretty big, right? And he's put another comment here, which is very good. He goes, let's go back 15 years. Why pick React back then over the rest? Because it was supported by Meta. That alone was a key point. No scary what if it gets discontinued approach. 100%. Same exact mentality was why we went with Redux a lot of the time. So with state management, Redux was the king for the longest time because it was battle tested. It had so much library and community support around it that you could have things like Redux sagas, you could have things like asynchronous, you could have things like offline support with Redux. It was so well used in such a big part of the community that there wasn't really a risk of, okay, this thing's going to disappear. And then Zustand and these other alternatives came in, which were more like kind of easier to implement, simpler. And then, of course, now it's evolved into like TanStack and kind of, caching layers and so forth. But it takes time for new tech to have the community or backing large enough to make big companies with a lot of users be like, okay, this is now safe enough to use this in the long run. So you have to really think about it. And I love the fact that you guys actually get to see the chat with experienced devs inside of it as well. So there's huge things to think about. But of course, when you're building a new project, this is kind of like the luxury time where you can kind of be like, yeah, we can try something new and so forth. And I do think you guys should do that. But definitely, and I think it stands on the point of, it's a good point to cover while this is building. But it stands on the point of when we see questions or see messages of AI can just code the thing for me. You see how that doesn't apply when you're talking about medium to large companies or you're talking about B2B companies, because there's a big decisions that need to be made. What is safe, what is not safe. AI is just going to say, do that. Or it's going to say, this is the best approach. I promise you, 100% confident. That's terrible, right? Do not do that. It's going to cause you a ton of issues down the line. And I guarantee if you say to AI, oh, but what about if this happens? It'll be like, you're 100% correct. I was wrong. It's going to do that every single time. So these things really count in the long run. But thank you, Rosano. Huge value, I feel, for the rest of the community. So in this case, it's added in the API onboarding flow. Cool. This is in the local as well. So we should be able to test this right now. Oh, look at that. Welcome to Bubble. Nice. Okay. So let's try this out. So I am now, for example, if I was a new user, I'm going to close this, go into localhost, right? So we come onto the page straight away, welcome to Bubble, right? No matter what, I can't click out of it. Finish onboarding, Sunny, Sanga. And if I went ahead and did something like SS, finish onboarding. Okay, oh, the username is taken. So first, oh, okay, well, that was interesting. Okay, so if that happened, look at this, SS. There you go. Do this. I'll grab that, right? So I'll quickly screenshot it, and then, okay, in that case, we can just screenshot it. Yeah, I thought it was going to disappear. So we can say never show messages like this to end user. Show appropriate error. So in this case, it's actually correct in the sense of yes, it's taken, but you should be showing a friendly message. Also, it's crazy. 15 years ago, React. Wow. Makes me feel super old because I was coding with React like when it was relatively new. I'm replacing the generic error message, rendering whitelist, and modal only in display whitelist. Jay, also screenshot Rosano's first message. Really nice message to see. Okay. And then we're going to be, so while we're waiting for that to go through, let's cover what we covered as well. So we've got Convex for the entire backend side of things. We also use the aggregate function, and they have tons of stuff like that, by the way. It's not just aggregate. I really recommend you type in Convex Helpers, and they have some very, very cool collection of helpful code, including things like RLS, but RLS was actually pushed back by the Convex founder or main developer for a very good reason, and he wrote a blog about it. You can check it out yourself. But basically, that row level security, if you check it out here, they actually talk about it here. See the stack post on row level security, and he talks exactly about, I think it was here, about why effectively you don't need to do that or why you shouldn't be doing that. I thought it was pretty cool. But in this case, you've got a couple more here, like Zod validation, triggers, cause, query caching, and so forth. And to be honest with you, I've used quite a lot of these, including, I use this one a ton, rate limiting. Very, very good, okay? So now it'll say fix the onboarding model. Okay, let's try it one more time. So Sunny, Sanga, boom. Okay, username is taken, nice. And again, we throw an error here, but that's fine. I mean, like we can actually catch it safely if we want to, but that's not gonna show on production. So we say Sanga 99, finish onboarding, saving, and now, boom, there we go. Say Sanga, Sanga 99. And now you'll stop someone from getting to that point, right? But even this, when it shows here, is this me? I think this is my other account. Yeah, this is my other account. Okay, hence why I can say I can follow it. So if I see profile, I can see no post yet, edit profile, and then we come into the same flow of bio. Hello world. Save, and there you go. Very, very nice. And I just want to see as well, if I go to Sunny, I can see like 5 following, and I can click in, I can see his following. This is cool. Say if I follow some of his, and then I go here, I can see this. Very, very nice. So fully navigate. Yeah, perfect. Cool. And then the bubble agent is active on this account, so you can go ahead and use it. Rosana also says the second most important thing is the open source and open support. Next.js has been controversial. It only works perfectly if on Vercel, but now with adapters, we'll get the same performance on any provider. This is very, very true point. Yeah, really, really true point. For the longest time, it was actually a hard thing to teach as well because of that restriction. If your tech was from scratch, you could push to Vercel. If it wasn't, getting it to run on anything else was always a case of you could do it, but getting the server-side rendering logic, and also Next.js was very, it kind of pushed, I would say it was a big part of pushing in server-side kind of, I don't want to say revolutionizing because it was there before in PHP days, but it kind of brought it back heavily and it caused a lot of momentum with it. So things like that, you need to make sure that, you factor in everything. Where is it running? Is it supported? Is it going to be supported for the future? How many users are using your app right now? All these things are basically things to consider. Cool. Okay. Nice. Thank you so much, Rosano. Right. So once that's done now, the final part, I think we're done pretty much with the build. This is awesome. Look, we have optimistic updates. We have our chat. We have all of this looking pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. We type in Elon. I just want to see something. Does it pop up with Elon? We didn't have Elon because it doesn't have picture recognition, obviously. Type in cat. Does it come up with a cat? I think. Oh, it's cached. Oops. I've got it in a bit of a slump right now. Let's do Command J. Here we are. Oh yeah, and by the way, this is a big thing here. So you want to make sure again, like you have this opening open on another screen. So typically, and I do recommend if you're doing AI work, guys, get a second screen. It's going to help you a ton. Have like your terminal somewhere else, always open. So it's going to like just save you a bunch of headache, right? But the main thing that we want to talk about today is really look how crazy efficient that was to get built. Already, we effectively have a full social media platform. I need to refresh. Right? Already, we pretty much have a social media platform. We have an onboarding flow. We have payment support. Right? The payments, by the way, the ones that went through, just to prove to you that they were legit. If we go to billing inside the Clerk, look here, you can see that we're both on free trial. Amazing. Right? And you can add many different tiers, by the way. We could have had Pro, we could have had, Ultimate plan, all these sort of things. And even for things like character limiting, we didn't actually add it in, but I think it's fine because we already added in the limiting part on how you can limit or restrict based on using the show component or the has function with Clerk Billing SDK. But either way, you guys can see that we didn't have to attach a single webhook, right? I'm gonna go ahead and change something here because we're gonna do a little wrap up right now. Just give me 1 sec. So pretty much, let me just check one thing from Jay. Okay, yeah, so pretty much that was it, guys. We have the Clerk Billing all handled for us, the authentication pretty much covered, and you saw we didn't have to do any of the backend stuff, and that is such a relief, especially when you're working with Stripe. You'll know that can take a long time to get set up, and then you barely get time to actually work on the app, right? So we covered many things today. This was actually the first time I used the cursor agents window on a live stream, which was very new. Like, I think you guys got to benefit a lot from what to look at, what to go ahead and do. To go ahead and deploy this now, I think it's very simple actually. You could pretty much spin up a new one, say deploy to Vercel, and it already has the Vercel plugin installed, right? And it will run you through everything. So that's why maybe I'm not going to run through it right now, but it's very simple. And what I love about this as well is this will even help you out with the environment variables. So it can actually take your local environment variables, push them up to the cloud. So it would even help out with that part, which was used to be one of the limiting steps where I used to have to explain that part over and over again. So you can literally just write deploy to Vercel and you'll go ahead and be able to deploy at this point. And Vercel also have a bunch of connections, which I'd really recommend that you check out. For example, how it can pull your Convex environment variables, they can pull your Clerk environment variables, all from the actual portal just by connecting. Once you've set up your Vercel dashboard, you can see it from all over on that side. And we used the Vercel AI SDK. So we had a ton of stuff, including streaming, happening in this build today as well. So lots and lots of stuff to go ahead and dive into. As I mentioned before, if you found it all cool, but you found it a bit overwhelming, please do check out our community, Zero to AI Hero, in the description down below. And like I said, we're going to be rolling out this community in cohorts. So as we open the doors, the first that were on the list will get access to it, and then we'll slowly introduce more and more people into it. So definitely check it out. It's absolutely free to go ahead and get started. And as always, when you sign up to go ahead and get set up with Clerk, then make sure you go ahead and use the first link in the description down below. Mustafa said, what build did you create, bro? We actually built out the Twitter clone today. So pretty much an entire social media platform, which is actually pretty damn clean. Like the whole thing was pretty much working fully. We even had the really nice app bubble element inside of it. Right now mine's a bit slagging up. There you go. Here's the build. All right. I stopped giving the code base for one reason. You will not benefit at all by just copying the code here, because you see, I wasn't going line by line on the code. Please just listen to the main things, which are like how to go ahead and actually build using AI repeatedly over and over again. I had to restart a bit of the song because it's going to run over, right? But make sure you go ahead and learn from that part, the plugins, MCPs, skills, how to go ahead and basically be able to replicate what I did, but not copy what I did, all right? But there we have it, guys. As always, it's your boy Sunny. I'll see you in the next build. Peace.